certify the humane treatment of farm animals, help ensure the safety of animals on the silver screen, and protect our planet's amazing endangered species at AmericanHumane.org.
You get up every morning and make it all work. You make the hospitals and the labs work. You keep the shelves stocked, the cash registers ringing, the production lines producing. At Vestas, we have the uniforms and workplace supplies you need to do what you do every day. When you think uniforms, floor mats, first aid kits, restroom supplies, think Vestas. Vestas, uniforms and workplace supplies for the people who make it all work. Learn more at Vestas.com.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
40 days to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds. Just say it with me. 40 days to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds. You will lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work along with scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get you and your body into the fat-burning zone so you can finally lose that weight. Then, NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Best of all, it's contractually guaranteed. You are fully supervised the entire time to make sure you are burning fat and not just losing water, and you even get the doctor's personal email and phone number. They're with you every step of the way. Absolutely no shots, no hormones, no surgery. Locations close by in King of Prussia, Newark, Delaware, and Cherry Hill. 855-5NJ-DIET. Or from home with live online video consultations. NJDiet.com. 40 days to lose 20 to 40 plus pounds guaranteed. NJDiet.com.
There are so many discounts and offers at Cherry Hill Volvo. This 30-second spot is not enough time to share all the benefits of purchasing or leasing a new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo. Discounts and incentives for this month start at $5,000 and can be as high as $11,000. Purchase or lease a new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo now and take advantage of these fabulous discounts and offers. Visit us soon for the best selection of Volvos. The entire Cherry Hill Volvo team is waiting to partner with you.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. Free speech lives here. It's Kayal and Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
And away we go, live on this Thursday, October 26th. It is indeed Kayal and Company, right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We are always live on the free Odyssey app and streaming live for your video viewing pleasure on YouTube as we head until 10 o'clock this morning. 855-839-1210, the phone number. Twitter and Instagram, the radio station at 1210 WPHT. I am at Nick Kayal, K-A-Y-A-L. Dawn Stensland with the news. Greg Stocker, the chairman of the board. Daniel Valdez, Anthony Dorenzo, our associate producers. Action-packed show this morning. Dawn, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Happy Thursday.
Any spare tires being changed? Did you do your oil in the dark? Gregory, how are you, buddy?
Another day, another dollar.
Yep. Another mass shooting, which we will talk about. A lot of really, really good discussion points this morning. A major victory for the GOP when it comes to the House Speaker. That'll be the theme of the big take.
Was it a victory, or did they just get tired and be like, okay,
Yeah,
whoever,
you know what?
whatever, it's fine. We just need a speaker.
I think it's pretty good. I'd give it like an A-, B+ if I was grading it. I think you should be relatively happy with it. Also, Donald Trump gets defended by the ACLU.
Oh, wow. Look at them.
Joe Biden and the FBI, 40 confidential sources claiming Joe's up to no good. And we're actually going to give credit to Phil Murphy? Is that allowed? Is that a thing? Apparently it is, as we are always fair on this show. And also, if you've ever thought about spending the night with Dr. Anthony Fauci, not in a romantic kind of way,
Whoa.
but an evening with Tony.
The show's taking a weird turn already.
It is.
Yeah,
We're praising Murphy and spending the night
6:03.
at Fauci's.
Yeah.
Very bizarre, but we will tell you what it will cost you to spend the night with Tony Fauci. That's right. A lot to get into this morning. And also, when it comes to college campuses, you can praise Hamas, but Riley Gaines, you stay the hell away. You understand? We will get to that story later this morning. But we have a lot to get to in the world of news. And who better than Dawn Stensland at 6:05 for round number 1 of it here on a Thursday morning.
Hey, and good morning. This Thursday morning, October 26th, we are sponsored in Kayal and Company News Live. We are sponsored by United Tire. Yes, so we have so much happening this morning. I'll take you to Philadelphia, where police are searching for answers after a suspect was shot and killed while trying to rob a convenience store in Philadelphia. This is according to police. So investigators say it all happened late last night on the 1300 block of South 58th Street. This is in the King Sessing neighborhood. So the man was armed during the incident, and according to a store employee, he had pointed his firearm at that employee. He says that the store employee shot the attempted robber multiple times. Authorities say there were several witnesses inside the store during this attempted robbery. The suspect pronounced dead short time later, and we have no more information. It's under investigation. There's no word as to whether this store employee, who by all accounts says he was defending himself against an armed robber who went behind the counter, put a gun to his head. He was defending himself.
Methinks the theme of the morning might be it's kind of nice to have the ability to have a firearm with you to protect yourself in this crazy day and age.
Yes.
That's just my gut feeling as we move along this morning, Dawn.
Yeah, there is a lot of police activity, and this is making national news. Thankfully, the next story, not in our physical region here, but certainly making the national news as this manhunt continues for a person of interest in Lewiston. This is in Maine. A mass shooting there, killing at least 20 people. The suspect, identified as 40-year-old Robert Card, identified as a person of interest, should be considered armed and dangerous, according to police. So it all started with a shooting at a bowling alley that was hosting a youth night for children for the Children's Bowling League, many of them with their moms or their parents. The second shooting scene, a local restaurant about 4 miles away from that bowling alley. So Card now on the run. We know that he, at one point, was a weapons instructor, they're saying, but he had spent time inside a mental health facility. And so now that there was a shelter in place in Lewiston, as well as neighboring Lisbon, Maine, where police say they found a white Subaru believed to be owned by Card, and the car was seen with the door open and lights on. Hundreds of federal, state, local law enforcement there assisting in that active and what they call an urgent manhunt for this armed and dangerous and mentally ill man.
Mm-hmm.
So it's they've released more surveillance images showing the gunman at one of the locations.
I think we have some of that video, Daniel. If you can put that up there on the YouTube video of the gunman.
This is just
the alleged gunman.
Yeah.
Well, this is a picture of somebody we don't know. So
the person of interest.
Yeah.
I love how
the guy with the big rifle.
Yeah, we can't even say suspect anymore. It's now like we've kind of softened it to person of interest.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
I got a lot to say on this. We could probably do a good full segment after the big take, because It's just everybody's, and there's really no debate, especially in this one, because they come right out in the opening paragraph of the story that the guy has mental health issues, and he was, talking about doing this and in the whole bit,
and was in a mental health facility.
Yes,
has been treated, and that's what anybody who knows him says.
Yep.
In Philadelphia, let's talk about Officer Mark Dial, because we knew that this was all going to go down in Philadelphia yesterday. A judge reinstating all charges against the 27-year-old, including murder charges against former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial. So it's a different judge this time. Common Police Court Judge Lillian Ransom ruling after a hearing that the facts of the case should be established at a trial. So Dial, you saw him bowing his head after the judge issued her ruling from the bench, and he was taken into custody without bail, because this is a first-degree murder charge. So murder, manslaughter, official oppression, 4 other counts in that August 14th shooting death of another of a 27-year-old, both are 27, Eddie Irizarry. We've talked a lot about this. It was a traffic stop, and uniformed officers trying to pull over this person led them on a bit of a low-speed chase, and the Mr. Irizarry was driving the wrong way down a one-way erratically, and that traffic stop ended with the shooting death of Irizarry. Obviously, this whole case has caused so much controversy, as well as those riots and looting that happened in Philadelphia after the first time that Judge Pugh had agreed with defense attorney Brian McMonigal, saying no, that the prosecutors did not warrant or support supporting evidence for especially first-degree murder charges. So defense attorney Brian McMonigal saying that he may seek to have the trial moved out of Philadelphia.
I think that would be a sound decision to make. Yeah.
And this is not the first time, and we've talked about other cases such as this, but McMonigal actually cited various comments, including by Mayor Jim Kenney and other public officials, as evidence that Dial might not be able to get a fair trial in the city of Philadelphia.
Yep.
So that's one of the strategies. As far as Krasner's office, they simply said, we will be trying this case in a Philadelphia court, not in the media. And they just said that's all they're saying about it, especially after McMonigal's comments.
Yeah.
As far as the family of Eddie Irizarry, it was an emotional day in the court. And we should say there are two families. You have Irizarry's family, and he was somebody who had been diagnosed, for example, with schizophrenia, serious mental health problems. There were tears and emotion on the Irizarry's family side, but as well for the family and fellow law enforcement officers of a 27-year-old officer who's been on the force 5 years, charged with first-degree murder. So that going down in a Philadelphia courtroom. And yes, of course, I know we'll talk about a lot of the national news, international news, Israel, Gaza, what's happening there. A delicate situation remains. The full force of the ground forces, Israeli forces, have not gone in yet. However, overnight, some of those tanks, and we've seen a bit of that, but not certainly the full force, as the Biden administration and others try to say to Israel to keep them from going in the ground forces. We've talked about this now since the beginning of this. Those ground forces surrounding the area have been poised to go in. A very delicate situation, as we have 220 hostages and many civilians inside there. So that situation looms. And then, of course, we'll talk about Donald J. Trump in court, fined by that judge. And that is a big topic for discussion, especially on social media. As far as the Wells Fargo Center, this is a story we have to talk about moving forward. Those hundreds of commemorative bricks right near the arena's entrance that everybody has seen before, fans speaking out, saying that since 2019, they've been paved over. These were 1,600 commemorative bricks around the arena. A lot of people paid for them. They paid tribute to families, to parents and grandparents, many of them who've passed on. And so demanding answers from the Wells Fargo Center.
And what was paved over? I mean, what exactly did they do on top of this? They just, a slab of concrete? Do we have any idea as to what took the place of the things that people purchased?
It's just blank concrete that they said there were worn areas, or they're doing that huge, renovation project.
Yeah.
But they said that the removal of these bricks actually started during the pandemic, of course,
Yeah,
2019.
Yeah. Right.
And so the Wells Fargo Center had said, well, we're going to still, they have records of everybody who paid. This was a lot of money.
Yes.
And so they said, we have records and we will do a special tribute. But a lot of people saying it's just not the same.
Right.
And
of
they,
course not.
and they certainly are hoping they don't want a virtual exhibit, like
Yeah.
pictures of the brick.
Yeah, I don't like anything virtual, to be honest. I'm done with virtual.
We're done with it already. Well, we're not done with United Tire. We love our Philly sports teams just as much as they love us cheering them on. Same goes for the great team over at United Tire. The owners make customer satisfaction their top priority, working with you to get you back on the road faster. So when it comes to car service, trust United Tire. NBC 10 First Alert Forecast. Wow. Talk about a taste of summer. We're in the high 70s today, 76 degrees today, and we're up to 82 by your Saturday. Enjoy the summer-like feeling of bright sunny skies. This is through Sunday. What a beautiful forecast. NBC 10 First Alert Forecast. And this is your First Morning Edition, Kayal & Company News Live.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 6:14, let's get to a Thursday Big Take.
The Big Take on Kayal & Company.
All right, the big take this morning, a major MAGA W for the GOP. It took more than 3 weeks for the House Republicans to find a new speaker, but that day has finally come. The GOP-controlled House finally listened to Dawn Stensland, and they figured it out, and they got it together. Mike Johnson is now the successor to Kevin McCarthy, and conservatives, as well as those who support the MAGA movement, should feel very good about the victory. I told you all along that my top two choices were Jim Jordan from Ohio and Byron Donalds from Florida, but this is a very good selection as Mike Johnson of Louisiana takes the gavel. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know as much about him as I do Jim Jordan, Byron Donalds, and other Republicans of Congress who make themselves far more available to the media, the TV cameras, the microphones, and social media, and that's just fine by me. I would say that this is somewhere between an A- and a B+ higher, so to speak, and that's A-okay with me. He's not a rhino. He's not a never-Trumper. And from everything I have gathered, he is very much what the Trump base was hoping for. He is every bit what Matt Gaetz was demanding. Johnson was able to secure 220 votes on Wednesday on the House floor. Now, he only needed 215, and typically the threshold is 217. However, due to current absences, the threshold fell to 215. This also shows you that the Republican Party is still Donald Trump's party. Trump strongly urged Republicans to vote for Johnson and to, quote, get it done fast. Trump would go on to say that Johnson is, quote, smart, popular, and sharp. He's going to be fantastic. I think he's going to be a fantastic speaker, end quote. Johnson has only been in politics since 2015, which actually is right around the same time that Donald Trump got into politics, so he is hardly a creature of the swamp, nor is he a career politician. Another reason for conservatives who have had enough of the establishment to take a victory lap. Here is your new Speaker of the House on the challenge before him. Listen and watch.
The challenge before us is great, but the time for action is now, and I will not let you down. I want to say to the American people, on behalf of all of us here, we hear you. We know the challenges you're facing. We know that there's a lot going on in our country, domestically and abroad, and we are ready to get to work again to solve those problems, and we will. Our mission here is to serve you well, to restore the people's faith in this House, in this great and essential institution.
Very well spoken, seems to be very even-keeled. You also get the sense that he isn't going to be an attention seeker, and he seems like a no-nonsense type of leader. But what are his core principles? What makes America what it once was? Here's Mike Johnson on his 7 core values. Listen and watch.
I call them the 7 core principles of American conservatism, but let me concede to you all, I think it's really quintessentially the core principles of our nation. I boil them down to individual freedom, limited government, the rule of law, peace through strength, fiscal responsibility, free markets, and human dignity. Those are the foundations that made us the extraordinary nation that we are. And you and I today are the stewards of those principles. The things that have made us the freest, most powerful, most successful nation in the history of the world. The things that have made us truly exceptional.
Whether you are a conservative or just somebody that values common sense, I think Americans can get behind these concepts. Individual freedom, the right to choose or not choose a vaccine, limited government, no governmental agency shutting your business down because it was deemed not essential, the rule of law, not the selective application of law based on identity politics, peace through strength, ruling with an iron fist, just like Trump did, fiscal responsibility, not spending like a drunken sailor or a delusionally irresponsible Biden, free markets, especially the marketplace of ideas. Mike Johnson, well said. But if there's one specific thing that Johnson seems to be obsessed with and wants to get right, it's the southern border. Listen and watch this.
I call them the 7 core principles of American conservatism, but let me concede to you all, I think it's really quintessentially the core.
I think we have the, that was the repeat of the second one. I think we have one more on the border. Did we not get that?
See here, hang on. No.
No? Okay. So, with the border, and you could probably guess where he was going with that. He points out all the issues at our southern border and the threats that it has created for this country. So for those not watching on YouTube and some of these videos, Democrats not standing up, not clapping for this. So that's fine by me. And I'm sure that, when we talk about the southern border, as Mike Johnson did talk about, it's going to enrage mayors like Eric Adams who have a city on the verge of catastrophe. But look, the House-led GOP has been a mess since the day they won it back in the 2022 midterms, from McCarthy to Scalise to Emmer. But on the fourth try, they got it right, and they have an adult in the room. His name is Mike Johnson. He's America First. He's an ally of the House Freedom Caucus. His mentor is Jim Jordan. He served as legal defense for Trump during both impeachment trials. He voted against all Ukraine spending after the initial bill. He has an F rating from Republicans for Ukraine, which is a good thing. And it's a guy who called to arrest Nancy Pelosi after she tore up the State of the Union. He seems pretty good in my book, and the House Speaker search is officially in the books. Now it's time to get to work, and that's the big take.
The Big Take on Kayal and Company.
All right, big take this morning. If you want to jump in, your thoughts and reaction to Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, taking the gavel, you can certainly do so as this charade finally comes to an end. 855-839-1210, the phone number. On Twitter and Instagram, the radio station at 1210 WPHT. Or, of course, you can get us on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/@1210 WPHT. Hit the like and subscribe buttons and be a part of the Kayal and Company comment community. We'll get thoughts and reactions to that, the tragic mass shooting that we just discussed in the news, and a lot of news with Trump and Biden. As we continue this morning, it's Kayal and Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Jump into the NBA action with FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. It's America's #1 sports book. I love the FanDuel app. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed tonight. Your Philadelphia 76ers at Milwaukee. Looks like the Bucks are favored -6. Give me the Bucks with the money line at -244 tonight. Plus, all customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass, courtesy of FanDuel, when they place a $5 bet on the NBA. So place a $5 bet on tonight's game. You have nothing to lose. You get $200 in bonus bets back guaranteed, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass, all courtesy of FanDuel Sportsbook in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. Go to FanDuel.com/Greg, FanDuel.com/Greg. Sign up right now. Tip off the NBA season right. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT and is the official partner of the NBA. 21 and over, present in PA. New customer offer. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. All customer offer. $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See full terms for both offers at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. NBA League Pass. Local blackout restrictions apply.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. Now that it's autumn, Check window and door seals for proper insulation, and replace your furnace air filter. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. When you're involved in an accident, you need a lawyer to help you maximize your recovery and get the fair value of your case. You need the law offices of Thomas G. Skopanich. My buddy Tom has been serving the greater Delaware Valley for over 25 years, and he's helped many clients. With offices located in Lansdale, Montgomery County, let Tom help you maximize your recovery and get the fair value for your case. Contact Tom at scopelawyer.com or 215-624-2211.
It was the day we all feared. The stock market went down and then kept going.
2008, when the markets lost over 50% of their value. But that was over a decade ago. Today, it's not so painful. Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group calls that financial amnesia. When you forget the pain of losing half your savings, and more importantly, ignore the fact that it can happen again. A complimentary consultation from Retire Ready Financial Group can show you where you stand now before the next market pullback. You're much closer to retirement than you were in 2008. Don't let it happen again. Call Jim Cipriotti at 610-894-7415 for a complimentary consultation. That's 610-894-7415 or online at retirereadyfg.com. You can forget where you put your keys, your glasses, or even your car. Don't forget to protect your retirement.
Investment advisory services offered through Retire Ready Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, NPN number 2083768.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's Custom Fit Orthotics Assessment in Walmart today, now in the foot care aisle.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go, shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Don Stensland weekdays 10 till noon. Dom to your down on noon till 3. Free speech lives here. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
.625. Welcome back in, Kayal and Company, as we continue live here Thursday morning. Nick, Dawn, and Greg, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We have so much to discuss this morning. This is going to be a loaded show again with so many good talking points and pieces of content to delve into. And we'll get to this awful, horrific shooting in just a few moments here. But just want to give an opportunity for some thoughts and reaction to Mike Johnson from yesterday. You know, I thought for the most part, like you think about this, at least from my perspective, this guy was not at the top of my list, to be honest, other than hearing his name mentioned in passing in the past. If Mike Johnson walked into the studio during a break or we played a clip and nobody told me who it was, I really wouldn't know much about Mike Johnson other than the fact I've heard the name Mike Johnson with an R in front of his name from Louisiana. You know, I had Jim Jordan 1, I had Byron Donalds 2, but once you see it come out yesterday that this guy had emerged, and then you start just looking at some basic facts about him and how he has voted in the past and what his stances are on certain issues, I think all in all, this was a pretty good hire. And I don't even know that Matt Gaetz truly had a plan other than just to get rid of and expel Kevin McCarthy from his existence. But at the end of the day, sometimes you can enter a situation without a big plan and still find a way to make yourself look relatively good and successful at the end of the day. And I think after 22, 23 days, Dawn, I think the GOP actually got it right. Like, this is not a swamp creature. This is not a rhino. This is not a Kevin McCarthy 2.0. And he doesn't look like the kind of guy that's going to pull out his phone and start streaming live on Instagram the moment like a Jamal Bowman pulls a fire alarm. Like, he doesn't seem like somebody that is hell-bent on growing his brand, so to speak. He seems like a nuts and bolts conservative, and I think this is what we really needed.
Yeah, if I'm Matt Gaetz, I'm gonna quietly say, he's the guy I really wanted the whole time.
Thank God we got him. We found the guy.
But yeah, it's like Goldilocks.
Yeah.
Just right. So you look at all the headlines in the liberal media, well, the so-called mainstream media, CNN and others. Oh, election denier.
Right.
And I thought, oh, here we go.
Right.
But I think ultimately he's low key, and you probably need somebody who's like that, who's not the big so-called star or the attention getter.
Yeah.
Because you want him to get things done.
He seems like a guy that can maybe soften the edges and smooth things over a little bit between the different factions within the GOP, so to speak. And, I love the fact that you brought up how the Maine, or I should say the lamestream media is talking about, oh, he's one of these election deniers. Like, do we really need to roll the 20-minute montage of every election that Democrats have denied did not turn out the way they have turned out? So, we can play those lame games as well because we do have the receipts, and we have played those for you in the past. So, but I also think it shows you just still the kind of sway and the swag and the cachet that Trump has and the hold he has over the party, because he said, look, this guy's going to be a fantastic speaker. Now go get it done and get it done fast.
So why didn't it work with Jim Jordan then?
I think Jim Jordan, like I've said in the past, I like
too
him,
fierry, maybe.
but he's got that
No.
sports.
I'm not talking about people not liking Jim Jordan. I'm talking about why did the Trump endorsement of Jim Jordan not help him if it helped this guy?
Ohio State hanging over his head. I know people have kind of that story
I think it was more a personality thing.
You think so?
I do.
Well, I do. Yeah, I think he's got that, that fiery athletic background where he butts heads with people. He's like the old school football coach, so to speak, that maybe doesn't resonate with the young modern athlete. He doesn't know how to take his foot off the gas and coddle and finesse people. Jim Jordan just seems like a bull in a china shop. This guy is, I almost want to say, and I don't want to say it in a bad light, he is kind of low energy, but I kind of feel like he's just got a real, laid back, chilled demeanor to him.
I think to your point, Nick, and I had looked back in his Twitter account, and he had back on, what was it, Saturday when he entered it, he had said that he had not aspired to this. He didn't talk to people about it. They approached him. He prayed about it, and he was stepping forward now.
Yeah.
I think that's a great kind of energy, a confident, kind of low-key energy.
Yep.
Your point about energy.
Right.
That you have all these egos and all these personalities, and my goodness, we've seen a little bit too much of some of them over the past few weeks.
Yes.
So you need somebody who can be respected as somebody who's a legal guy. And that's what you were talking about with that. He's known as knowing his stuff. He's very much into the law. He's a policy wonk.
Yep.
And I think that's good. That's, in essence, I mean, in many ways, even though Newt Gingrich, I talk about him as a House Speaker, one of the famous, House Speakers of the Republican era, I think Newt Gingrich was a policy wonk, if you will. He was known to talk about the law, to go down into the policy and conservative values and conservative beliefs as far as the Constitution. I think that's what you have in this, Mike Johnson. So
yeah, I agree. I like it.
I'm glad.
I'm glad it's over.
I know.
Now go do something. Go investigate somebody. Put somebody
Talk
on the
amongst
stand.
yourselves.
Yeah, and get to work. My goodness. 855-839-1210 if you want to jump in. So obviously the big story going around the country today, probably internationally as well, is the manhunt that is underway after a deadly mass shooting in Maine last night, where residents have been told to shelter in place. Dawn had mentioned at least 22 people killed, up to about 60 individuals have been injured after this individual rolls into a bowling alley and a bar, a second location, opens fire with an AR-15 style rifle last night. The suspect is listed as Robert Card, a 40-year-old U.S. Army Reserve firearms instructor who was sectioned this summer for 2 weeks with mental health issues. And look, to me, right there it is. You can stop right there with the, is it mental health versus gun control? Well, I see AR-15. Why do we got to have AR-15s? He has mental health issues. And by the way, if you have an AR-15 and you have no mental health issues, this does not happen. And I feel like every time we have a mass shooting, it's mental health versus gun control, Second Amendment rights. You're going to have somebody that doesn't know what AR stands for. It's not assault rifle, it's Armalite. Joe Biden's going to come out and speak eventually, and he's going to talk about how they banned assault weapons in the past, and he'll whisper, and he'll say, I'm going to do it again. And we're basically going to look at two different things. One, okay, what is this person's political or social ideologies? Well, if he's a Trump supporter or a MAGA Republican, you'll know about it in 9 seconds. And if it's somebody from the trans community, we'll never hear about their motive. And we're going to be told, oh, this is happening way too frequently. We have debunked that on this show, especially in the school setting when there's shootings. They're not happening more frequently than they did in Columbine in 1996. But look at the common theme here, guys. Uvalde, El Paso, Parkland, Lewiston last night, the Nashville shooter, the Fort Hood shooter, Sandy Hook, Virginia Tech. All of these individuals, mentally ill people. I believe, and I know we all go to our corners and we fight vehemently about why this is happening and how to stop it. I mean, this person was documented and it was chronicled and noted that he had mental health issues and he was in a facility and he was let out and he goes and does what he does and what he did last night. In my opinion, now more than ever, Second Amendment rights matter. I mean, we just gave you the story a month ago with the New Mexico governor that tried to, because of the rise in violent crime, she tried to give a 30-day temporary ban to law-abiding citizens that have legally purchased a firearm. She tried to prevent you from keeping and having your firearm on you whenever you want to carry it with you. Like, now imagine if that would have played out last night in New Mexico, in this ban that this governor, this Democrat governor in New Mexico tried to impose. Seems to me like it would have been a great time to be, a proud Second Amendment supporter, because if you're with your family at a bowling alley and this whack job comes in with an AR-15 with, I believe, a scope on it, wouldn't it be nice to have a handgun in your holster on your hip to protect yourself, your family, and everybody else? And the sick part of this, and I know we'll get these details eventually, Dawn, but they're not releasing the names of the victims. But you did say that this was a school or kid function where plenty of little kids.
Yeah, the bowling.
Like, I don't even want to think about 15 of the 22 are toddlers or 8-year-olds or 12-year-olds. That's going to be just a gut-wrenching piece of information if, in fact, that gets released.
Yeah, it's just so sad. And here's what I would say. I know that a lot of the media reporting that Maine does not, they're talking about their in the nation that they are a pro-Second Amendment state, that they don't, have strict laws on permits for firearms, this and that. The truth with this situation, in my humble opinion, is that when somebody suffers mental health issues, and I believe he was a gun instructor, I thought that he had some level of military background or training.
Yep.
And I would just say this.
He was an Army Reserve.
So I would say this. When you have somebody who is suffering with mental health problems, whether they're military, whether they're not, if they're a firearm owner, an illegal firearm owner, and you know that, why not have something in place whereby you can even ask them to voluntarily turn over, even to maybe your gun stop or your gun shop or someplace where you would just to lock that up.
Mm-hmm.
Because in truth, when we hear about the numbers of the tragic gun deaths in our country, at least half are self-harm.
Yeah.
So this guy, to me, was either going to do it to himself or to somebody else. In this case, it's a mass shooting. The
deadliest attack of we've now had 565 mass shootings in the United States this year. And again, I want to say, is it 3 or more is what qualifies as a mass shooting as far as victims go? I know there's a number or a threshold that the federal authorities have officially labeled what constitutes, so to speak, a mass shooting. And I don't know that they're all typically the way you expect them to be labeled as mass shootings, right? Like you figure a certain setting, but I want to say it's 3 or 4. I'd have to dig it up on some government site. I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah, and that's debated whether it's, whether it's 3 or 5 or 6. You think about all the shootings that happen in Philadelphia, but they're not necessarily mass shootings because they're not necessarily by one suspect.
Right.
I mean, in this one, with a death toll, like you said, we have 20 confirmed dead, but the death toll could be as high as 22, as you said, and dozens of others injured. So I think nobody's, debating if it's a mass shooting. I simply wish that people would, and everybody squirms when we bring up the mental health issue, and that's the issue with all of these, to figure out a mechanism in place by which if somebody is a gun owner, that they can have a situation where they remove that gun from their presence, such that they can't hurt themselves or anybody else. And nobody wants to talk about this. That's the solution to a lot of these cases, which, by the way, many others are domestic related. If you've got domestic disputes going on, maybe a firearm is not such a good idea.
Yeah.
Dr. Frosty Brew on the YouTube chat says you shouldn't have to go bowling with your kids strapped with a piece.
You're right. You shouldn't. You shouldn't have to. But it feels like now more than ever with people, and I'm not even implying, and I don't think that the mass shootings are significantly up, but I do think mental health is significantly up, and we can't pick and choose. Again, it's a lot like with the left where they have a selective application of science. We can't selectively decide when there's mental health issues or not. Right? Like we sit here in this day and age, feelings matter more than ever, right? We don't want to offend anybody. We don't want anybody in their feelings. So there's that group of society talks about feelings all the time. Yet when you sit there and you try to point out mental health for somebody on TikTok having a trans breakdown, oh, it's not mental health. I'm just really in the wrong body. No, you're not. It's a mental health breakdown. Just like with this shooting. This is not a gun issue. This is not a why do you need that type of weapon issue. This is there's something in your brain. There's some sort of wiring that is gone haywire, so to speak, that made you arrive at the point that you felt you reached a point in your life where you're going to go into a bowling alley like it's Call of Duty and murder hundreds, almost 24 American citizens.
So let me ask you guys this. So what's the solution then for this? Because it does seem to, look, we've debunked that this is, your kids are going to school is the most dangerous time. It's just, that's all complete and utter BS.
Yes.
And it's the media that sensationalizes these things to a degree where they're like, well, kids are afraid. They want bulletproof backpacks and stuff like that. Yeah, who makes them afraid?
Right.
Their parents and the media.
That's correct.
That's who makes them afraid, because it's never been a safer time to go to school these days. But with all that being said, what is the solution here? Because nobody's budging on the Second Amendment thing, and then you have the mental health issue. So how do you deal with this with those two issues?
Take every red flag that's out there that is an indicator that is screaming mental health and get these people the help they need.
Apparently, this guy has been on the police's radar in this area for a long time, according to reports that I saw very early this morning.
Correct.
Yeah, so you know that he's a certified firearms instructor. He's he is U.S. Army Reserve. You know that he had threat recently, according to authorities, they had a record of him making threats to carry out a shooting at a National Guard facility in another part of Maine.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the mental issues. You've got a guy who was treated for mental health in a facility, and as well saying that he was hearing voices.
Yeah, hearing voices, and threatened to shoot up the base that he was deployed to, or whatever the word would be.
So how much more do you need to say, you know what, maybe we just ought to, ought to have some kind of a mechanism in place to take any even access to firearms away from this individual.
So this was a law enforcement failure then?
I think
Well,
I hate saying it's a failure because I think at the end of the day,
Well, I mean,
No,
it's a failure somewhere because there's a ton of people dead.
There's a failure, Greg. I'm hesitating because I don't know who. So we know that at the National Guard facility, they're saying that on record he had made threats to carry out a shooting. Was that reported to law enforcement? That's my question. So when you're saying it's a law enforcement failure, also I don't know what the laws are.
Right.
In other words, you could have had law enforcement that went and wanted to take the firearm away, right? And so this is why policy matters. This is why laws matter. And quite frankly, Republicans have more credibility on this issue. If you had Democrats coming in saying, oh, mental health, we want to take, I mean, look at what's happening right now. There were arguments heard in New Jersey yesterday, right?
Right.
So this is a conversation. But Second Amendment people, supporters like me, Republicans, right, like us, when we have this conversation, it comes from a place of credibility to say, on one hand, we want to make sure that this is a free country, that the Second Amendment, there's a reason it's the Second Amendment,
Yeah.
right? Right there after free speech and freedom
Right.
of religion, etc. So it's important to preserve the Second Amendment, but at the same point, you want to protect people even from themselves.
Should you lock the guy up for the rest of his life in a mental facility? No. Should you take away his gun forever? You can argue that and try to, paint the picture of, well, this is how it would go down and the way you would do it. But the reality is he is a living, breathing, walking human being. And if he wants to get his hands on a gun and he's hell-bent on acquiring a firearm, whether legally or illegally, he's probably going to end up in possession of that gun. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, you can only do so much for so many people, right? Like at the end of the day, if you really want to pull off a tragedy like this, you're going to do it. So we can sit here and like at the end of the day, you can't prevent all this stuff from happening.
I don't disagree with you. I'm literally just playing devil's advocate
yeah.
because it's way more interesting in my opinion.
No, it is.
So we're just gonna kind of, our solution is like, hey, you know what? This happens in a free society. We have the freedom to do this. So these things, they are rare, even though the media makes them out not to be. So we're just kind of saying, hey, you know what? This is kind of just doing business, right? Like this is the price of doing business.
You have to exhaust every possible avenue when it comes to getting these people the help that they need. And like I say with prison and stuff, I think incarceration is far more effective than rehabilitation when it comes to committing crimes. But from a mental rehabilitation standpoint, these people, I mean, if you're hearing, he's hearing voices in his head.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's obviously
deranged.
He's obviously deranged.
Right.
So that's where where was the breakdown? Was the breakdown if this guy, if the reports that I read this morning were true, and this guy has been known in this area and the police knew him, why was nothing done?
Yeah.
Or maybe it couldn't have been done.
Well, I will say it is frustrating, though, when you do, and you know how I'm very much pro-police and law enforcement, but it's frustrating when we find out after the fact that law enforcement had so-and-so on their radar. Like, what do you mean on their radar? Like, if this guy is deemed to, there needs to be follow-ups, wellness checks, family matters here as well. If your uncle, your cousin, your brother, your husband has obviously staying up to date with these people and checking in on them and just kind of gauging the temperatures of the water, so to speak, so that maybe you can be the one who prevents this from happening.
If somebody is this all goes back to I believe, in part, it goes back to the famous Supreme Court ruling back during the Reagan era, where even if you had mentally ill people, let's say, who were out on the streets, and so they were in facilities and they were provided for and treated, but they weren't allowed to roam around on the streets and turn into a homeless individual and get help. In this case, nowadays, and this is a huge issue, because I have a girlfriend who, it's a long story, but her loved one was in a facility. Then, because it's all voluntary, they can't keep you there. and the family wanted to keep him there and said, this guy's suicidal. He has a firearm. This was actually in California, ultimately ended up taking his own life.
Yep.
So this is an issue not just in, pro-Second Amendment states. I mean, this is across the country. And so we have to revisit that 80s law. We have to think about the homelessness. We have to think about They knew this guy was dangerous. They knew he had firearms. They knew he was in my mind, everything I read tells me that. And what I believe also is that after HIPAA laws, and we've heard this before, the psychiatrist working with him at the mental health facility where he was treated for 2 weeks,
right?
That person didn't know that he's a danger and he's hearing voices and he's going to go back out now because you can't keep him there, and he has firearms.
Yep.
I mean, come on. So I think part of this is people who are saying we did everything we could under the law, and that's why these policies matter. I understand that these are complicated and deep policy issues, but we have to go there because you know what? Post-pandemic, the mental health crisis is through the roof.
Yes, it is. 855-839-1210, from the Second Amendment to the First Amendment when it comes to the president, or I should say the past president, the former president, Donald J. Trump. We'll wrap up hour number one with that story on the other side of Kayal and Company. Stay right there.
A psoriasis flare-up can make a walk in the park, well, no walk in the park.
It's that obvious, huh? I've tried so many lotions and creams, but I still have symptoms.
So those don't do enough to treat the inflammation beneath the skin, leaving you with those uncontrolled symptoms.
Makes sense, but what else can I do?
You can get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Make an appointment and, you're already on it.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make an appointment.
Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
At Simply Safe, our 24/7 lifeguard protection helps stop crime in real time. Because during a break-in, every second counts. And these days, every dollar counts. Right now, get 45% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. It's U.S. News and World Report's Best Home Security of 2023. Advanced Home Security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
My name is Tom DeBello, and I am here to take a sledgehammer to the excessive spending in Montgomery County as your next county commissioner. If you're fed up, tired, and had enough of your hard-earned money being spent on their projects to enrich themselves and their friends, then help me help you. Together, we can bring back strong, experienced leadership to Montgomery County. Vote Tom DeBello for Montgomery County Commissioner on November 7th. This ad is paid for by friends of Tom DeBello.
You're invited to witness a groundbreaking documentary, America's Retirement Dilemma, a documentary of Wall Street's rigged system, featuring powerful exclusive interviews such as the president and CEO of the leading analytics firm over Wall Street, Del Bar Incorporated, Blue Harvey, who explains why Wall Street is not set up to have a fiduciary duty to the everyday investor.
Wall Street is not set up to handle a fiduciary relationship. Too expensive to replace all of my compensation systems, retrain all of my people. The whole structure that's been built over the last 100 years would have to be turned on end. I would have to be brutally negative. We have an industry that has been built on caveat emptor, buyer beware.
Hear this and more exclusive interviews with powerful industry leaders, esteemed economists, and top researchers at the Spring Mill Manor, November 14th. Registration is required. Call Crash Proof Retirement, 800-722-9728.
October. It means all the action, entertainment, excitement. Pennsylvania's #1 casino experience, Parx Casino, PARX. The hottest entertainment is going to keep you coming back for more. 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 table games, the best sports book on the entire East Coast. And, of course, my friend Joe Conklin's Comedy Night with New York's best club comedians every other Thursday night, and the local, just the best bands every weekend, only at 360 Lounge. So much fun. Hey, don't miss these top headliners coming soon to the Excite Center at Parx. Nicole Byer from Netflix nailed it. Thursday, November 9th, Chris Isaac. Friday, November 10th, Howie Mandel. Friday, November 17th, Aaron Lewis. Thursday, November 30th, Michael Carbonaro. Friday, December 15th. Parx, the ultimate destination for all the action, excitement, entertainment, free parking, valet parking, and EV charging stations for everybody. For all things Parks Casino, just visit parkscasino.com. Parks Casino and Sportsbook, this is how you win. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, Riverton. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Kayal Company 6:52 live here on a Thursday morning. Right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We got a lot of good stuff today. This is going to be just a great show. We got to talk about what Phil Murphy said when it comes to Halloween in a school district in New Jersey. Very interesting story. And also timing and motive. Timing and motive. What are we talking about? Well, the timing of the FBI coming out and saying that they have 40 confidential sources that have concrete evidence, so to speak, about Joe Biden. And, oh, by the way, the timing of it. We saw Gavin Newsom. He's riding around in an electric vehicle, shaking hands, doing photo ops in China with President Xi. What's that all about? We'll get to those stories as we continue this morning. But yesterday, as Donald Trump was in court for his fraud case in New York, he left the courtroom, so to speak, in a huff after Cohen contradicts testimony in his New York fraud trial. Shortly thereafter, the Donald was fined $10,000 with the judge citing statements that Trump made to the media before the trial began that day. I think this is once again another attempt to silence him with the media, and also $10,000. I mean, I know Trump's legal fees are pretty high, but at this point, I'm not sure that $10,000 means a whole heck of a lot to Donald Trump. But I am surprised by this headline from CNBC. Trump election case gag order violates the Constitution. And that's not coming from Nick Kayal or Dawn Stenzel, and that's coming from the ACLU. The American Civil Liberties Union is arguing that the gag order on former President Donald Trump in his federal election interference case violates the U.S. Constitution. The ACLU, a frequent and vocal critic of Donald Trump, by the way, said the restrictions placed on his speech run afoul of the First Amendment. So you have Anthony Romero, who is the executive director, and he released this statement to the media yesterday. But if we allow his free speech rights to be abridged, we know that other unpopular voices, even ones we agree with, will also be silenced. Quote, as much as we disagreed with Donald Trump's policies, everyone is entitled the same First Amendment protection against gag orders that are too broad and too vague. In their 18-page court filing, they go on to say that any restraint on Trump's speech must be, quote, precisely defined and narrowly tailored. And they are arguing that the judge, Tanya Chutkan, fails to prove that with the latest tests that they use on whether it's too vague, so forth and so on. For example, Chutkan's prohibition on making public statements that, quote, target certain individuals is, quote, unconstitutionally vague. I got to tell you, I mean, I think a lot of Americans are seeing what's going on here with the silencing of Trump. And when the ACLU tells you they don't like the guy, but gosh darn it, his rights are being violated, I think that really stands out. Now, I don't know how many people will see this story, who will pay attention to it, who will react to it, but it's pretty clear as day what's going on here, whether it's Judge Tanya Chutkan or what did you call him, Judge? Dawn,
well, it's Angoron, rhymes with moron.
Angamoron?
Yeah. Angamoron.
Yes. And if you look at a lot of these cases, especially the ones that are still to happen, you're going to see, I think, a lot of the copycat stuff here. You're going to see gag orders. You're going to see all these claims that he can't say this or he can't go after that person or he can't go to truth and do this. So I think it's a very, very big thing in the Trump camp. If you've got a organization that has already publicly said, yeah, we kind of despise you, dude. We don't like your policies. But that being said, you are afforded the rights that everybody else is, and that right is being violated.
Yeah, I'm glad that the ACLU came out and said that because it's a no-brainer, and that's why we've said for a long time this case in particular everything will get thrown out, I think, one way or the other. But I think that it's important to note the point that Trump, left that courtroom and why he was upset. It was actually, I think, Michael Cohen, his former personal lawyer, was still on the stand, had said under cross-exam he didn't recall. He was asked if Trump directly asked him to inflate any prices, and he said he didn't recall. Trump's attorneys at that point say, Your Honor, we want a verdict right now. Your star witness, your star witness is saying he doesn't recall,
right?
And so the judge denies that. That's the point where Trump just thought, he didn't leave. It's the way that it's being reported in the headlines. You would infer that he left after the $10,000 fine. It's my understanding that he actually got up while Cohen was still on the stand.
Oh.
And so the fine thing had already happened, but it's when his lawyers said, we want a verdict right now. Your star witness has contradicted himself. He's lied on the stand, but he just said that no, Trump never directly told him to do that. So, so that, you know what I'm saying? That's at the point where he stood up and walked out.
Okay.
Which he's allowed to do. What if you had, I don't know, an emergency bathroom break?
Right.
There's no, in other words, walking out, you could do.
Yeah.
But to my understanding, that's the point that he walked out.
Right. Okay.
Because it's like, think about that. The judge is finding, whether we can debate. To me, Nick. Sorry, Greg's wrapping me up.
Yep.
We got to go.
All right. 855-839.
He looks like an orchestra conductor.
1210, the phone number. We'll come back, kick off hour 2 with the news with Dawn, and then get to the FBI Joe Biden story, as well as Phil Murphy, Kayal and Company, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hi, it's Rich Zioli. I'm joined here today by my friend, the co-president and CEO of Cooper University Healthcare, the one and only Dr. Anthony Mazzarelli. Dr. Maz and I are here to tell you about our buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria. Not only is he my dentist, he's my family's dentist as well. And not sure if you knew this, he's Dr. Maz's dentist too.
That's right, Rich. Dr. Mike Veneria is and has been my dentist also. And doctors choosing doctors, that can be quite a selective process. And not only do I go to him, but for years, my sister and my niece and my nephew, the whole family goes.
Well, it's no secret. We're all delighted by the care that Dr. Mike Veneria and his award-winning team provide, and you need to check him out.
Whether you're looking for pediatric, general, cosmetic, implant dentistry, you don't need to look any further. Dr. Veneria's office does everything. Dr. Veneria's office also exceeds all CDC guidelines and has always maintained the strictest infection control, like their centralized UV sterilization of airflow, which is incredibly important to me.
Locations are right over the bridge in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. Your perfect smile's waiting. Call 856-786-2020 or visit veneriadental.com.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
At least 16 people are dead and dozens more injured after shootings in Lewiston, Maine. Police identifying Robert Card as a person of interest. United Auto Workers reached a tentative contract agreement with Ford. And after weeks of clashing, the House has elected Louisiana Republican Mike Johnson as its new speaker.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom-fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's custom-fit orthotics assessment in Walmart today. Now in the foot care aisle.
They pretty much weren't doing anything. I couldn't ride a bicycle. You don't have your life because you don't have your mobility.
So when Patrick heard about QC Kinetics and their non-invasive regenerative treatments for pain, no waiting, he called them immediately.
There's no downtime. There's no rehab. That was the tipping point for me. I didn't have to take any drugs. I didn't have to rehab.
Before considering surgery, check out QC Kinetics all-natural treatment options that restore and repair damaged joint tissue in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back.
If you have knee replacement surgery, and then the knee is not yours, and there's no guarantee that that's going to be successful.
QC Kinetics. Patients around the country are raving about the results. They're getting back their mobility, taking back their lives with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery. Don't wait.
Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Kayal Company, 7:02. Thursday morning, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, Nick, Dawn, and Greg. Get us on the free Odyssey app. Watch us live on YouTube. 855-839-1210, the number. What's on the cut sheet? That's coming up 7:45 this morning. I'm actually going to give Phil Murphy a little credit for using some common sense when it comes to our favorite October holiday. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. And also the amount of information, criminal credible information that the FBI has received with Joe Biden from over 40 confidential sources. Why is that coming out just now? I have a thought. We'll get to that theory coming up in just a little bit. But before all of that, it's a busy day in the news, and we have a lot of it. 7:03, hour number 2, round number 2, the great Dawn Stensland.
And good morning on this Thursday morning, October 26th. We are sponsored this morning by Wawa. In the news, we've talked a lot this morning about the case in Philadelphia where a store worker says to police that he was defending himself against an armed robber who pointed a gun at him, saying the suspect, yes, he shot and killed the suspect, but that it happened while the suspect was trying to rob the convenience store in Philadelphia. So investigators saying that it happened late last night, 1300 block of South 58th Street. This is the King Sessing neighborhood in Philadelphia. The man was armed during the incident. The store employee says it was a case of self-defense when he shot the attempted robber multiple times. As he says, that individual pointed the gun at him. There were several witnesses in the store during the incident. As police say, they've interviewed the witnesses. The suspect pronounced dead a short time after the shooting. And this is still under investigation this morning. So whether or not the employee would face any kind of issues or charges, that kind of thing, we don't have any of that information as they continue to investigate.
I'll say this. If I was a person that owned a convenience store or a little corner deli or anything like that, and I was the one operating, the point of sale area and the transaction area, the old cash register, I would legitimately have a gun right below the cash register because of stories just like this. Like, especially nowadays with the police, everybody knows that, they're going to go light on you, so to speak, when it comes to looting or rioting or robbery.
Yes.
You come into my store, just know I've got a gun, pal, so.
Yeah.
That's the way I would operate.
Well said. I mean, and we've talked a lot about this manhunt in Maine, but there are many communities, many of them smaller communities, but there are communities up and down Maine that are under lockdown as this manhunt, and they're calling it an urgent manhunt. It is ongoing this morning for a guy that started all in Lewiston, Maine, with a mass shooting. We're hearing all of these different numbers. You just heard our sister station reporting 16 confirmed killed. There are other reports where they're saying at least 20 killed and as many as 22. Part of the issue here, the tragic story of this, is that as they search for 40-year-old Robert Card, this identified person of interest, should be considered armed and dangerous, there are many more, at least 60 people that are injured, some of them critically injured. And that's the tragic piece of this, Nick, that I think part of this is that people were rushed to the hospital, perhaps in critical condition, and now they're not able to save all of these individuals. You think about hospitals and those emergency personnel, doctors, nurses, trying to save. A lot of these we're told one of them, the bowling night, was with kids and mommies and grandparents.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm reading one of the quotes from a guy named Brandon who was in the bowling alley. He was putting his bowling shoes on, so he was still barefoot at the time when the first pop went off that he heard. He said he heard 10 different bullets being fired, and he basically ran and dove in behind the ball return area where you line up all the different bowling balls with different colors and weights. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of terror that these people were going through in what probably feels like an eternity, even though it looks like it happened at 6:56 and police were called at 7:15. So in 19 minutes, the authorities were there, but that's got to feel like an eternity.
Yeah. There was another story of a mom who just put her, as a human shield, put her body over her daughter.
Yep.
And they sort of played dead, but mom, as a shield laying as if she's, playing dead over her child.
Right.
Survived. She was interviewed. Oh, my goodness. But then the hospitals being packed with all of these, victims. And certainly it's not like Philadelphia here where, if you think about it, our local hospitals, such as Temple, our doctors here, it's as if it's a war zone. They know how to treat gunshot victims. They're probably among the best in the world, quite frankly.
Yeah, we're very much a hospital city, too,
yes,
by the way. Yeah.
So true. But in this area, in this rural, these rural areas, many of them,
right.
can they even handle this influx of victims fighting for their lives? Oh, my goodness. It's such an emotional story for so many. There are a lot of prayers and prayer vigils. But this, as they continue to keep communities on lockdown, they still don't have the guy.
Yep.
So that's the update on that. A judge, as expected, in Philadelphia, reinstating all charges, including murder charges, against former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial. This is Common Pleas Court Judge Lillian Ransom ruling after this hearing that the facts of the case should be established at a trial. So former officer Dial bowing his head, his family there with him and his police law enforcement family supporting him. But he was, after the ruling, he was immediately taken into custody without bail. And so now he will face trial. So this was all resulting from the charges of a shooting death of 27-year-old Eddie Irizarry during a traffic stop. His defense attorneys have argued that the officer feared for his life because he believed and had reason to believe that Mr. Irizarry had a gun, and a municipal judge earlier, we told you, had dismissed the case last month for a lack of evidence as far as backing up those first-degree murder charges. And the defense attorney, Brian McMonigal, saying that, yes, he's considering seeking to have this trial moved out of Philadelphia, saying that even Mayor Jim Kenney and other top officials made comments so that Dial may not even be able to get a fair trial in the city of Philadelphia. So we'll watch for those change of venue proceedings. But right now, he is behind bars. Yesterday, I had interviewed John McNesby, president of FOP Lodge 5, who said that the union standing behind this officer as well as many other officers.
Yep.
So we have all of that going on. I'll take you to the Donald Trump story. The punchline story, I will say, of Michael Cohen after Donald J. Trump stormed out of that courtroom, as is being reported, when his attorneys, his defense attorneys, had said to the judge they moved for an immediate verdict, as the main key witness, Michael Cohen, had essentially contradicted himself and admitted essentially that he lied in court, or lied on the stand, or to investigators. And so the judge, Engoron, said absolutely not. And then Michael Cohen, upon cross-exam, had said, well, even though Trump never directly told me to do these things, he actually spoke like a mob boss. A mob boss.
Yeah,
like,
he spoke like Vinny.
Yeah, like, get the thing. The thing about the thing. Get the thing done.
Yeah.
So
that was whatchamacallit.
One of the punchlines that's being widely reported this morning. So much to talk about, as well as Taco Tuesday, a Taco Tuesday ruling in New Jersey after a month-long battle with the Jersey Shore bar and restaurant over the trademark for Taco Tuesday. Fast food giant Taco Bell has said publicly the trademark to the name has been relinquished.
Oh, okay.
Taco Tuesday, it's for everybody.
It's for everybody.
So we could have a Kayal and Company Taco Tuesday.
Right. And by the way, tacos are good on Thursday as well. Tacos are good every day in my world.
That's true.
Yes.
Fish tacos, what's your favorite taco?
I like a good shrimp taco. Yeah. A little shrimp taco with a little pico de gallo on it.
Ooh, a little lime.
Yeah, a little squeeze of the lime. Yep.
You're making me hungry.
I know.
I don't know. Does Wawa's our sponsor? Wawa, do they have tacos?
Well, they got pizza.
Maybe
They might as well get the tacos
I know,
next.
right? Their pizza's delicious. Wawa has pizza, freshly made, tastes great, and you can get it late. Right now, there's a $0 delivery fee when you order Wawa pizza at wawa.com or on the Wawa app. Gotta have a Wawa. And this is the NBC 10 First Alert forecast. Got to mention it because it's a gorgeous thing. 78 degrees today. And as we move through the weekend, we are in record warm weather, bright sunny skies through Sunday. Saturday, the real highlight here, 82 beautiful degrees. Could somebody please play with Nick Kayal and give him a tea time already?
I know. Nobody wants to go golfing with me, Dawn.
Aw.
Everybody's got a life. I'm sorry. I can't carve out 5 hours of my day. It's torture sometimes trying to get grown men to commit to golf. It's like, they act like I'm asking them to go on a trip to the moon with me. Well, there's a lot I got to figure out. Like, what do you mean? What do you have to figure out? Can you play or you can't play?
Come out and play.
Exactly.
That's Kayal and Company News Live.
It's going to be a beautiful day for baseball on Saturday. Of course, the Phillies won't be playing in it, but nonetheless, it'll still be a beautiful day. All right. For the first time, I'm starting to think it's possible that Joe Biden will not be the nominee. Greg Stocker has been on record saying that he could absolutely see neither Trump or Biden, two completely different combatants, so to speak, in the 2024 election. And for the first time, I'm starting to think it's possible that Joe doesn't get there. I'm not going to sit there and say it's absolutely a lock because there's two things here. First of all, we know the history of Democrats. They will drag you and your carcass to the finish line if it means a victory. We've seen it with Dianne Feinstein. We've seen it with John Fetterman. As long as you are clinically and legally alive, that's all they care about. So that's why I can't go overboard here. And also, yesterday we gave you the story about Joe's low polling numbers and how he's now spending an additional $25 million in new campaign ads. If you're not going to make it to the 2024 election and you know that, you probably aren't dropping $25 million worth of political ads. But that being said, think about what's playing out here and what is happening. We just saw last week there's a $200,000 check that we discussed yesterday in the Big Take, linking Joe Biden directly with Ukraine and with other family members. That's the first piece of evidence. The second piece, we find out 5 months after Joe leaves the White House as the vice president, he puts $2.75 million in cash down for his home.
Well, do you have that? Come on, that's what any of us would do.
I have $2.4 million. Not as wealthy as Joe, but I'm in the ballpark, right?
Yeah. Well, 2.4 and 1 million of it, I'm sure, is in gold bars that are in pockets of suits in your closet.
Yes, and the other million's empty bourbon bottles downstairs in the basement. So you've got the cash for the it wasn't even a down payment. He bought the home in basically $3 million cash, which is pretty remarkable when he was making $140,000 a year, and his wife's a professor at a community college. You put those two together, of course you got $3 million in cash. Who doesn't, right? But now we have the FBI receiving criminal information from over 40 confidential sources on Joe, Hunter, and James Biden. That according to Senator Chuck Grassley, who has said the following. The confidential human sources, quote, provided criminal information to the FBI relating to Joe Biden, James Biden, and Hunter Biden. Those confidential human sources were managed by multiple FBI field offices across the nation, including the FBI's Seattle field office. But Grassley learned that an FBI task force within the Washington field office sought to, and in some cases, successfully shut down the reporting and information from those sources by falsely discrediting the information as foreign disinformation. That effort, quote, caused investigative activity to cease. So this was massive alleged cover-up to prevent this from getting out there. But it's getting out there now. Why is it getting out there? Poll numbers are terrible. He can't complete a sentence. He can't walk off a stage. He can't go up steps. He can't go down steps. And you start to see Gavin Newsom, like we talked about yesterday, and I think Stocker or Dawn, one of you made a great point of, when's the last time you saw a governor fly to China to, hang out with Xi? That doesn't happen. So that's very... there's clearly the presidential aspirations of Gavin Newsom are out there. And this was like another opportunity. And I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I don't know if there's somebody in the DNC that arranged this with Gavin Newsom. But you start to stock everything up and stack things, and you're like, okay, 200,000 here, that story, 2.75 million in cash here. Got 40 credible informative sources with confidential information about the whole family. Is this kind of the little building block, step by step, to get Joe out of the way by the time 2024 rolls around? If I had gun to my head right now, if I had to make a bet, I still say Joe's the nominee. But it's starting to enter my mind that this is a coordinated plan, because we know the Democrats, as bad as their policies are, they're not stupid. They're calculated. They're diabolical. Is this the beginning of the end? Have we seen enough circumstantial evidence, so to speak, to make the case that they are slowly getting out of the Joe Biden business? I think it's a fair question to ask at this point.
I think this guy is such a lightweight that they are stupid to put him in over Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden at least has the grandfatherly, Democrats, I think by and large, love him as far as on a personal level, think he's grandfatherly and that sort of thing.
But he's also a pushover for policy. Hey, this is what we need you to say and do, Joe. And Joe's a yes man, basically.
No, I mean,
But that's what they want.
That's what the swamp wants. I mean, I'm not in disagreement with you. I'm just saying, looking at Gavin Newsom, I mean, with Xi and never, he's test driving the
electric SUV.
The electric SUV, and actually makes the comment of, a lot of this technology, because the big beef right here in America is that the Chinese steal a lot of our stuff, right? Steal our patents.
Yes.
And I know business owners in Pennsylvania who've told me that. This is the big problem that Trump was trying to crack down on. The fact that he said that out loud and said a lot of this technology here, comes from our country. And it was like, what? And he's like test driving the car.
I'll tell you what, that SUV did look pretty badass. I mean, that thing was gorgeous looking.
Well, he was like flashing his smile and the perfectly coiffed hair.
Yeah.
And such a pretty boy, lightweight.
Uh-huh.
I think any Republican right now on the GOP stage eats him alive.
I think
Newsom?
Yes,
Oh,
Newsom.
You're high.
He's a lightweight.
You're high.
The guy's a lightweight.
Oh, I didn't. First of all, let me just say that because you're a Gavin Newsom. I'm not a Gavin Newsom fan. Trust me, far from it. But I think that guy's a political animal. He's a political animal. He's going to,
and it shows.
Remember, he's going to debate. What's his name?
DeSantis.
Oh, I forgot it. It's been so long since we've
DeSantis.
It's been so long since we've
we
mentioned his
talked
name.
About any candidate.
I forgot what his name was.
Yeah.
At the end of next month, they're going to debate him with Hannity.
With Hannity, yeah. Thanksgiving weekend.
Gavin Newsom is going to carve him up. It's not even going to be close.
Maybe so. But maybe with Ron DeSantis, with Governor Ron DeSantis, I would imagine that Governor Ron DeSantis would say, let's look at my record versus yours.
Yeah, I think if you put policy on paper, it's easily DeSantis.
Yeah.
Although, I tell you what, and I don't know specifically that he will carve him up in a debate, because I think DeSantis can debate very well and can get very loud and argumentative. But I think Newsom has the look. He's got what look at he looks presidential.
Too much. It's too
Ron DeSantis is
over the top.
Ron DeSantis is way too awkward. He's going to give like these weird twitches
I agree
and
with
facial
that.
things. He's like,
I agree
I'm
with
going to
that.
say, Anthony, you are fired. Well, Gavin Newsom.
Mustard.
Well, Gavin Newsom is like spouting out whether the talking points are true or not. It doesn't matter, but he can fire them off like I've never seen.
Newsom looks like you would portray a president in a movie, right?
Absolutely.
He's got that.
He's the quintessential politician.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's such a pretty boy.
He is.
He's so. I mean, it almost reminds me of you mentioned Maya Rudolph playing Kamala Harris.
Yep.
He's like that kind of a character on Saturday Night Live, where they have the fan blowing to blow his. And look at him yesterday. Look at that video. I wish you would show it on the YouTube feed. And he's got this smile, and he's like, I'm too pretty for my pants.
Somebody else
too pretty for my.
Somebody else pointed out yesterday that that Murphy was in Taiwan, and Dawn pointed out too that Hochul.
Yes,
also. Yeah. So it's not unprecedented for governors to go overseas on these trips.
But this guy was on a fanboy trip with Xi and never
talking
says
about climate.
And all about, we've got dry dirt in California and climate change. I mean, to call out climate change and shake hands with a guy and never mention the Uyghurs, any of the alleged slave labor, communist China, anything. Come on already.
Right.
Doesn't have, is standing there smiling, all big smiles with the guy.
Yeah, they'll defend the Palestinians, but they will ignore the Uyghurs. Selective human rights, I guess. All right, well, look, the reality is this, okay? Gavin Newsom was test driving a vehicle, and I'm here to tell you that you could do the same thing. In fact, Gavin Newsom, if you want to test drive the 2023 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition, I'll carve out a few hours of my day to spend some time with you, the governor of California. We'll go over to Piazza Honda of Springfield, and I guarantee you, Mr. Newsom, you will love it. I don't know if Gavin's a truck person like me or not, but now is the time to visit Piazza Honda in Springfield. You can also check them out in Philadelphia, Langhorne, Pottstown, or Reading to take advantage of 0.9% APR financing, or you can get special finance rates on the Honda Civic, the Accord, the CR-V, the Pilot, and many more. They also have electric vehicles, so if Gavin, if you need an EV, they've got you covered. The Piazza Auto Group now with 17 brands and 35 locations. It's my go-to for all things automotive. To find your new or certified pre-owned vehicle today, just check them out online at piazzaautogroup.com.
You get up every morning and make it all work. You make the hospitals and the labs work. You keep the shelves stocked, the cash registers ringing, the production lines producing. At Vestas, we have the uniforms and workplace supplies you need to do what you do every day. When you think uniforms, floor mats, first aid kits, restroom supplies, think Vestas. Vestas, uniforms and workplace supplies for the people who make it all work. Learn more at Vestas.com.
Gone South, winner of the prestigious Edward R. Murrow Award, is back. Laredo, Texas, a border town community where in the fall of 2018, 4 women were found dead. In Season 3 of Gone South, The Sign Cutter, join award-winning producer and journalist Jed Lipinski as he unravels the story behind the manhunt for a serial killer that led to a shocking standoff.
All episodes of Gone South, The Sign Cutter are available now exclusively on the free Odyssey app or listen weekly wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you heard all the talk about fresh pet food? Well, at Dogs and Cats Rule, when it comes to fresh, healthy ingredients, we lead the way. Hi, I'm George Parenti, and I'm here to tell you there's nothing better nutrition-wise than fresh food for your pet. Stop in to one of our 7 neighborhood locations and ask our expert staff how a real, fresh, meat-based diet can change your pet's overall health and well-being. Shop online at dogsandcatsrule.pet. Dogs and Cats Rule. Shop small, shop local, shop family.
This is Larry Steinhaus of Investor Schooling. I am so proud to announce the continuing success of our students at Investor Schooling. You already know that at Investor Schooling, we teach real estate investing and stock options. Did you also know that we teach things about tax savings, estate planning, and business coaching as well? We teach things about money I bet you never knew. At Investor Schooling, we teach from the perspective of true experience. If you want to see what our students think about Investor Schooling, please check out the over 160 5-star Google reviews. To find out more about how you can change your financial life, go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829, and you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday at 7 p.m. Attend that class and see for yourself what Investor Schooling is all about. Go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829. We can't wait to see you this Thursday.
Drive in with Kayal and Company mornings 6 till 10. Drive home with Rich Zioli afternoons 3 till 7. Live and local on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Kayal and Company's 726 as we continue live here on a Thursday morning. Nick, Dawn, and Greg. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Cut sheet at 7:45. But a couple of updates here. Get some stuff going on in the world.
So, you guys were talking this morning about if this guy, Robert Card, who did this mass shooting, allegedly. I have to say allegedly. In Lewiston, Maine. If he was a conservative, they would find it. Yeah, they found it.
Is he?
Well, they've gone through his Twitter profile.
Oh, here we go.
And apparently he follows and likes and retweets Tucker Carlson, Dinesh D'Souza, and Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Okay,
So,
Tucker Carlson's involved. He must be. This guy's a conspiracy theorist in a
well,
nutshell.
so I'm just letting you know that that's going to be the narrative. Now.
There you go.
So at 7:27,
mark the tape.
This horrific event happened last night in the 6 o'clock hour.
Yep.
And not even, we'll say 13 hours later.
That's correct.
They found out that he is who he follows on Twitter, so therefore there's his motive.
You know, I watched Fox News, and it motivated me to do a horrific act. I blame talk radio. That was the insightful moment that I knew I had to commit this heinous act. You know what's remarkable, too, is that in 13 hours, we can be told that this guy was a follower and a believer in what Tucker Carlson says. But yet here we are. How many months has it been since the Nashville school shooting? And we still don't have the manifesto released and the motives that have been I'm sure, well gathered and collected and analyzed. But because the shooter in the Nashville school shooting was a member of the LGBTQ plus community, that information will still remain private. I think there was one, I believe they told some of the family members were able to see something, if I recall the story. It's been like 6 months since we talked about it, but that has not been released to the American public. So when they want you to know motives and ideologies and belief systems, they get it out there right away.
Yeah.
But if it goes against what the current climate is, so to speak, boy, they will bury that until you forget about it, huh?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we don't even know if this is his Twitter account. I'm assuming it is. Like, these are just reports that I'm reading online right now.
Right.
But if they're going to go down this route, then you can damn well bet we're going to see articles written about toxic talk radio.
Yep.
And conspiracy theories and this, that, and the other. And we're going to it's going to be rinse, cycle, repeat.
Yep.
And, there's going to be we're not going to, the problem is going to be with this is that we're not going to find a solution to this, which I believe 90% of the country wants.
Oh, yeah.
So we're not going to find a solution. So we're just going to blame and we're going to argue and, one side's going to dig their heels in.
Mm-hmm.
The other side's going to say, see, it's all you people.
Yep.
And we're going to bat the ball back and forth.
Yep.
And until the next one happens, and we forget about this one.
I blame Ed Markey. I blame Ted Cruz. They saved AM radios and cars. It's on them.
Yep.
855-839-1210. All right, we will come back and get into a little conversation in New Jersey with the governor, Phil Murphy, and the concept of Halloween. It's Kayal and Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
You got the alert this morning. Now get the whole story. Count on NBC 10 News today.
It's more than just headlines. It's news to get you ready for your day.
If you need motivation, here we go. We've got your playbook.
The most accurate hour-by-hour weather forecasts.
Traffic info to get you there and back easier. It's all you need to get up, get ahead, and stay ahead.
Make your mornings count with NBC 10 News today. Count on it.
There are so many discounts and offers at Cherry Hill Volvo. This 30-second spot is not enough time to share all the benefits of purchasing or leasing a new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo. Discounts and incentives for this month start at $5,000 and can be as high as $11,000. Purchase or lease a new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo now and take advantage of these fabulous discounts and offers. Visit us soon for the best selection of Volvos. The entire Cherry Hill Volvo team is waiting to partner with you.
40 days up to 40 pounds. Say it with me, 40 days up to 40 pounds. Visit njdiet.com or call 855-5NJ-DIET. That's 855-5NJ-DIET. 40 days up to 40 pounds. 40 days up to 40 pounds.
This is Mark Luca, president of Aqua, Pennsylvania. Did you know drinking tap water will save money and keep 38 billion plastic bottles out of landfills each year? Plus, our water meets tougher safety requirements than bottled. Ditch the plastic and put money back into your wallet. Keep a pitcher of tap water in your refrigerator or fill a reusable bottle if you're on the go. Aqua, an essential utilities company providing clean, safe, reliable water so you can trust what's in your glass. Learn more at aquawater.com. That's aquawater.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. You've heard me for years talk about the health benefits of Rescue Natural Supplements. After making their omega-3s as part of my daily routine, from supporting heart health to promoting pain relief, they provide essential nutrients that impact our bodies in so many ways. Listen to this recent comment from Jeff. He says the benefits of Rescue Omegas are worth it. Helps reduce my inflammation and lower my cholesterol. Been taking it for years. See, people like Jeff have trusted Rescue with their health goals, and now it's your turn. For a limited time, use the code OMEGA50 for an exclusive buy one, get one free offer on any of the 7 Rescue Omega-3 choices. To get this special radio offer, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Use the code online at res-q.com. That's res-q.com. Remember the code OMEGA50, OMEGA50. Buy one, get another Rescue Omega-3 absolutely free.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $40 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $18 a month, a savings of nearly $300 a year.
Whether you need a $100,000 policy or a $10 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. In a hurry? Don't worry. With SelectQuote, you can get up to $2 million in instant, affordable, same-day coverage with no medical exam.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-637-9116. That's 1-800-637-9116. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-637-9116. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Hatfield Pork brings flavor to the table the whole family will enjoy and keep you moving through the day. With over 24 distinct flavors that can be ready in minutes, it's food you can feel good about serving. Explore endless meal possibilities with Hatfield's variety of marinated pork, ground sausage, ham, and bacon. Find your flavor with Hatfield. Visit simplyhatfield.com for recipes and to find a retailer near you.
The future of joint pain relief is right here in the Philadelphia region. QC Kinetics, advanced regenerative medicine. Hey, Dawn Stensland here. If you've been told that more steroids or surgery are your only options, not so fast. Get a second opinion. Learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. QC Kinetics does not mask the pain. These treatments go to the very core of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed directly into your joint, which repairs and restores that damaged tissue. Imagine living life, especially this fall, with no more pain in your knees, your aching shoulder, your back, your hips. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Just call the local medical professionals, get a free consultation. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. 215-999-3000. Just call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Hey, Ben Salem, tell your smart speaker play 1210 WPHT.
It's Kayal Company, 7:35 Thursday morning, as we continue here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Nick, Dawn, and Greg. What's on the cut sheet? You're going to find out in just 9 minutes, as that is coming up at 7:45. Just went down to the boys' room during the break, saw Republican mayoral candidate David O. I said, good morning, sir. Best of luck in your little chat coming up later today with our sister station, and sadly, you have as much chance of becoming the mayor as the Phillies do winning the World Series.
Stop.
In a city that's, what, 7-1 Democrat?
I know.
I mean, honestly.
Well, hopefully they're not blasting this show through the speakers where he's sitting right now.
Yeah, I know. No, I can almost guarantee you they're not.
They're not, no.
They're not.
No.
Well, I think, here's the thing. He's obviously famous in Philadelphia. Everybody knows him, and that's to his benefit as an at-large candidate. He did get, votes, and people people know him, people like him. But the problem is, like you're saying, it's a 7-1 voter registration.
Yeah.
How does he break through,
Right.
against Sherelle Parker, who's also famous in Philadelphia?
Sure.
Somebody who's, been around. They've both been around for decades in Philadelphia politics, and they've worked together as well.
Right.
So how does he emerge and make a name for himself in today's debate? He
Right.
has to. I think isn't this their only debate on our sister station today?
I think
on
so.
KYW, but I know they had a town hall. They've had some town halls,
Right.
and they were interviewed separately.
And Dom had Sherelle on what, 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago?
I think
wanna
he's
say?
I think so.
Yeah.
They've both been here on our side
Right.
for interviews, but this is a formal debate.
Yeah.
So can David O, I don't know, make some news, make some headlines,
Right.
shake things up, and show how he would be a different mayor?
Mhm.
That's really, I think today is his last chance to do that.
There you go. 855-839-1210. From locally in Philadelphia to locally in New Jersey we go, as Phil Murphy slams a school district in his own state for banning Halloween events to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yeah, I'll tell you what, if there's one set of words that I just want to see go by the wayside that we hear way too often, it is diversity, equity, and inclusion, because this DEI stuff is a bunch of nonsense. But here's the backstory to this if you don't know what's going on. Phil Murphy is now mocking a Garden State school district, and this was on Tuesday, for forbidding Halloween celebrations to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. The reasoning? Well, a couple of things here. On October the 6th, Dr. Ronald G. Taylor, the superintendent of the South Orange Maplewood School District, informed parents that Halloween celebrations at schools would not be taking place this year. He is essentially canceling Halloween for kids. And the reasoning? Well, Taylor suggested in a letter to parents that school-sponsored Halloween activities could create, quote, indirect and unintentional financial hardships for students and families. And it could violate the dignity of some of our students and families, either culturally or religiously. Quote, as you know, the school district is committed to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion meaningfully, not just saying the words, but also promoting an inclusive school community that creates belonging for all students, families, and staff. Phil Murphy got wind of this, and he tweeted the following: seriously? We can't let kids celebrate Halloween? Give me a break. So I'm actually going to give Phil Murphy a break. Thank you for tweeting that, sir, because these people are patently insane. These guys are, think about this. It's going to interrupt somebody's existence at school, and then they try to say, well, not everybody can afford to celebrate Halloween. So you can't put a paper bag over your head and maybe just draw some markers on it and maybe cut the holes out.
That's so low energy.
Like, I mean, nobody's saying you have to show up in the authentic Batman costume that costs $2,500. Like, we're really going to cancel Halloween in the name of DEI?
Yes, we are. Thank you very much.
Nick Kayal loves Halloween. He wants us all to dress up next week. You love Halloween.
I come in dressed as a talk show host every day for, but I mean, like, this is the absurd point of this whole mantra of we can't let 3 kids who maybe don't celebrate Halloween, or 5 kids that for some reason can't afford. So again, we're punishing the masses over the select few. What was like the old adage growing up as a kid? It's always 1 or 2 that got to ruin it for everybody else. Now apply that rule of thumb here to this story. And I would argue that of all the, holidays, so to speak, that kids look forward to the most when it comes to the school year calendar and school activity, probably Halloween, right?
Old Man Dudley on the YouTube chat says Murphy is defending Halloween because he identifies with a jack-o'-lantern smile. Jimmy Manelli writes, I remember when it was the Christian right that hated Halloween. I agree with you, man. Like, in this world, I grew up where it was the Christian right that wanted to censor everything that I wanted to do, and now it's liberals that want to censor everything I want to do. It's a weird, it's a weird turn of events.
I don't even know that it's liberals. I think it's the far left that wants to do this, which is, to your point, is very fascinating. How, for many years it was, conservatives that had a stick up their butt and like, hey man, just loosen up, relax, have a little fun. And now it's like, like we're just totally cool with everything. And then it's the woke progressive radical faction of the left that, oh my God, God forbid that Bobby can't afford to show up. Like, okay, even if maybe some kids don't even want to dress up for Halloween, but it's more than just. I mean, it's more than just the outfit. It's the candy. It's the scary movies. It's the the spooky decorations. I mean, there's a lot of like elements to Halloween, and I think obviously like in a school setting. I mean, you're not going to get gifts for Christmas in school probably unless you're in a really wealthy school district. Thanksgiving, that's more of a at-home family thing. Springtime, Easter, okay, maybe an Easter egg hunt at school. But like Halloween, I remember as a kid, we loved Halloween in school. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
So the fact that these people, and it's the cancellation of everything under the mantra of DEI, which is just such a load of garbage. So
it is.
I got to give Murphy credit.
I will say this for schools that it's wonderful when they do, like in my kids' schools, they would often, just to take the pressure off of, like you're saying, spending a fortune on those expensive costumes. So sometimes they would do a theme.
Yeah.
And you're going to laugh at me, but there would be, your favorite author, your favorite, like Shakespeare, like different, they would do things like your different theater characters. So they would do it more as a character day.
Right.
And that way, it's tends to be more creative. You tend to have more homemade costumes.
Right.
You can have a contest with that. Like, hey, kid, don't go out and buy the whatever poison ivy. And, do something that's more creative. And that way it's an educational theme.
Yeah.
And that way, because there are kids, let's say, that are Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, for God's sake.
No,
Here we go.
you guys.
Let's always remember the Jehovah's Witnesses.
I had a co-anchor who was a Jehovah's Witness. Patrick Comer in Fort Myers, Florida, back to Hodacopy, was at the station. Oh, my goodness. He would call in sick every holiday because he couldn't stand. Like, it's against their religion.
Okay.
So,
Well, then let him take off. That's fine.
exactly.
He did.
Stay home.
We all knew.
Don't come
we all
in.
knew. Like, just don't come in, Patrick. We love you.
Just like if you have COVID. If you're sick, stay home.
By the way, I'm not religious, and I hate Halloween.
But a lot of people,
I think it's a dumb, low-energy.
So you can make it. You can call it a fall festival. You can make it. The school can make it something else and be creative and use it as an educational opportunity.
All right, at what age do you? Can we stop dressing up? Seriously.
Dressing up?
Yeah.
I think to me the age limit's on candy, not on the costume.
Oh.
I like seeing adults dress up and enjoy.
Well, so we went out to one of those events with my son.
Okay.
And all 90% of the parents were dressed up with whatever the kid was or the kids were.
Yeah.
The parents would be like the same theme. Like if one was Mario and Luigi, there would be Princess Peach and Yoshi or whatever. The only reason I brought that up is because my son is super into Super Mario Brothers right now. What's old is new again.
Yeah.
Okay, like you're doing something for your little kid. I get it. But like,
so you're not feeling me coming in as Batman on Tuesday.
Well, I mean, if we're doing a visual show here on YouTube, then I do. Like, I can see.
What do you think the odds are? That'll be the day that we either get flagged and pulled down or our cameras are malfunctioning.
Well, if you come in as Batman, I'm sure there's some copyright on that by DC, right?
That's true. Yeah, I might get us
I don't know.
flagged.
I'm just saying it might, but like. I don't know, these adults dressing up when they don't have kids. Or it's like, okay.
But the other thing too with this story where
party pooper.
Enough. I hate Halloween.
Unintentional financial hardships. Now I get it. There are some costumes out there that are expensive that you have to specially order. But by and large, can't you? I don't know if dollar stores have costumes, but I always felt like there was a lot of really cheap. I mean, you go into like a CVS or a Target or a Walmart or whatever, you could probably find a Halloween costume for $12.
No.
No,
no, they're not, dude.
Not like a little plastic witch's hat or something.
I can tell you don't buy your daughter's Halloween costumes.
No,
you're way out of it. Dude.
You go into one of those pop-up Halloween shops. Like, don't even go in with your kid because you're going. How much,
what do
Greg?
Those start at? Like $35-$40?
Oh, that would be a deal.
We got this low energy Spider-Man costume for my son, and it cost $40 or something like that.
And that's for a toddler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they want a new one every year.
I'm out of touch with reality, aren't I?
Yes.
I'm way off.
Yes. Yes. Keith Martin on the YouTube chat says the Jehovah Witnesses love Halloween. They get to knock on doors.
Stop.
God. Keith, I
That's
love
a
that.
sin.
Oh, it's hysterical.
All right, 7:46. Let's get to what's on the cut sheet.
What's on the cut sheet?
This is what's on the cut sheet, anti-Halloween edition. Is brought to you by Cherry Hill Volvo, where they have ample inventory and brand new and beautiful pre-owned Volvos. Enjoy the luxury experience you deserve. They always go the extra mile for their customers because relationships matter at Cherry Hill Volvo. Check them out on Route 70 in Cherry Hill Volvo, where relationships matter. Thank you, Cherry Hill Volvo, for sponsoring the ever-important Thursday edition of What's on the Cut Sheet. All right, let's stick with that diversity, equity, and inclusion thing, Nick, since you're on a roll with it. This I pulled from KOIN CBS affiliate news in Oregon. Oregon students will no longer need to be proficient in reading, writing, and math to graduate.
Okay.
They're doing this because inequity and having standards to graduate disproportionately harms students of color.
Okay, so being functional in the basic core groups and subjects is no longer no longer required.
So we're basically graduating a bunch of dumbasses who don't know their...
Just put them through the system.
You know what from their elbow.
Get them in, get them out.
Cut one here, Daniel.
Oh, boy.
For the next 5 years, high school students in Oregon will not need to perform proficiency tests showing mastery of reading, writing, or math in order to graduate. And this comes as the Oregon Board of Education unanimously...
By the way, I want to stop right there. If you're watching on YouTube right now, they showed a picture of students in school. All of them had masks on.
Of course.
All
this
of
is
them
Oregon?
had masks on.
Yeah, they probably never took them off.
I'm going to start that clip over, Daniel, if you don't mind. Cut one more time. Go.
For the next 5 years, high school students in Oregon will not need to perform proficiency tests showing mastery of reading, writing, or math in order to graduate. And this comes as the Oregon Board of Education unanimously voted to extend a pause on the graduation requirement yesterday until 2028. They're citing inefficiency and inequity. Joel Jones going through the headlines tonight to find out what this pause will mean for students.
It means they're going to be stupid.
This is a controversial decision and one that's facing a lot of pushback. While some say the decision will lower state standards and cheapen an Oregon diploma, the Oregon Department of Education tells me this policy simply didn't work and disproportionately harms students of color.
Oh, there we go.
All right, so let's go through Bobby's report card. D in math, D in science, D in English language arts, and an F in history. But that's good enough. Go right through. Do not collect go. Do not pass. Do not collect $200. Don't pass go. So if a college degree is worthless, which we have starting to arrive at the conclusion that college is a complete scam, what does that make high school then?
Worse?
Like,
so what this basically tells me is that if anybody applies for a job that I am hiring for, and I see that they went to high school in Oregon, don't hire them.
Yes, that is
because
correct.
they have no idea what they're doing, or it's
insanity.
It is insanity. Yeah.
And this is coming out of the pandemic, in which we now know many children. Thank God, knock on wood, I'm glad I don't have to deal with it. But many children are 1.5 to 2 years behind academically because of what lockdowns, shutdowns, and virtual contributed to.
Yep. And they showed it in that clip. If you were watching on YouTube, they showed it in that clip because the first thing they showed is a bunch of kids in masks in school.
That's right. Yeah, let's just do it like they used to do it. Class moving forward, every subject is pass-fail. If you show up, you will pass.
And we wonder why we're not preparing the youth and our children for life. This Gen Z girl went to TikTok to complain about having a 9-to-5 job because she doesn't have any time for a social life because she has to be on a train. She has to go into the city, so she can't be home. And she's like, I have to commute. So she goes into the city. She has to catch a 7:30 train. And she doesn't get home till like 6 o'clock.
Damn. Where did the day go?
Oh, my God.
I don't have time to zone out on Instagram.
And what does she do? She goes to TikTok to bitch about it.
Yeah, baby.
Cut to Daniel.
This is sexy.
Go.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying.
Yes.
But this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college. And I'm in person. And I'm commuting in the city. And it takes me forever to get there. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford living in the city right now. So that's off the table. Like, duh, if I was able to walk to work and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30 and I don't get home till like 6:15 earliest.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like I'm so upset. Oh my god. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9 to 5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, like if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine.
Oh,
but, like,
yeah.
I'm not home. It takes me long to get home and like
welcome to the world.
Like people that drive to the office, like you don't get off at 5. And I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but like I literally get off, it's pitch black. Like I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like how do you have time to like meet like a guy? I don't know. Like how do you have time for like dating? Like I don't have time for anything and I'm like so stressed out.
Well, you have nights, you have weekends, you have plenty of time, girl. You'll be fine.
I want to take this girl's parents and slap some sense. Like, what have you done to your daughter?
And these Gen Zers, where they every third word out of their mouth is the word like, I want to just hit them over the head with a frying pan. Like, stop using the word like. Don't start your sentence with the word like. No. And here's the deal. Like, I remember my first full-time job in Philadelphia radio was 2011, almost into 2012. And I was living in the Lehigh Valley making, I think it was $28,000 a year. And I was driving from Bethlehem to City Avenue every day, Monday through Friday. So it's about 70 miles, roughly. And I recall I would leave at 7:30. This was when I was Bruno's producer. I'd leave Bethlehem at 7:30. I'd be on City Avenue by 8:45, 9 o'clock. I would produce Tony's show from 10 to noon, and then I would do the sports updates after that until 5:45 each day. I'd leave City Avenue at 5:45 and get back to Bethlehem at 7:15. So it was like 11 hours and 45 minutes, and it sucked. But you know what? If you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you have a job you love, you do it. This girl, here's the thing. She wanted to just work virtual the rest of her life.
Yes.
Yeah.
She wanted to fart around all day on her laptop at her kitchen room and dining room table and swipe and scroll and get paid to do it.
Yep.
And now she got hit in the face with reality.
I don't even know that she really wants to work.
No.
I would question how hard was she working?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think the Zoom allowed her to do other things.
Of course.
Right? And so it's not just about the commute time for her. Because there are some people who can, depending on your job.
Right.
I know a lot of IT techie people.
Yeah.
Because they love all that stuff and they have all their computers set up. That's different. It depends on the job. But in her case, what that tells me is whatever she was zooming in wasn't work.
Well, and also, cold hard fact of life. Look, if you want to shorten your commute, then live closer to the city and pay more. But if you want to pay less, then you're going to have a 45-minute drive. You know, so that's life.
Let me ask you guys a question. What is worse, her being and complaining about that, or her not realizing what a 9-to-5 job is, or her going on TikTok and doing it? Like, what's worse in your mind? The fact that she's not prepared for a 9-to-5 job, or the fact that she thinks so much of herself that she goes to TikTok and thinks people care?
Wait, and you bring up the point, though. If you were her, because you're our brand manager and our boss, so what if you were her boss,
and
right? Because her boss,
not everything needs to be on TikTok. That's what he would say.
Well, I didn't know you did an impression of me. That's good, dude.
That was very good.
I think that it if I saw something like that, I would be like, all right, you don't like this, you don't want to commute, then okay, you know what I mean. By the way, I didn't play it, but at the very end, she blames her time of the month for being so emotional.
Okay, well, I can't really speak on that.
Dawn,
that's all you.
Dawn, she plays the
woman card.
The woman card by saying that the reason she's so emotional is because she's getting her,
Yeah, suck it up. And if her boss is a woman and you use that, that's deadly. Because another woman's like, yeah. Right. You want to pound it and then do like a dry rub.
She doesn't even have time to cook. She can't do a dry rub, Dawn. She's working 9 to 5. It's 6:15 when she gets home. She's too tired.
we've failed. It's our guys. I've said this. It's our fault. We're the parents. We've failed our children. Like our generation has failed our children because they're not prepared for life. They're just not prepared for life.
Right. And they very rarely do they show emotion. They're mostly zombies. But when they do show emotion, it's like this rambling, crying mental breakdown publicly on a social media app. It's like I guarantee you this girl's got no motivation and shows no emotion in any part of her life, and then it just all comes pouring out like a flood.
Exactly.
Somebody on the TikTok or on the YouTube chat goes, her complaining on TikTok and not knowing the concept of 9 to 5. That's right. She does have the vocal fry. Guys, I don't know. It's so hard to be.
Yeah. She doesn't have time to work out either.
Yeah. Is this her first job? I mean,
she looks like she's 23, 24.
Well, she said it's her first job out of college.
Okay.
So you're telling me she hasn't worked since? This is her first job? Because, look, even part-time jobs,
right?
You work 8 or 9 hours a day, don't you? I mean, I always did.
When I was in college, my part-time job, I was probably working 6-hour shifts.
I don't think she was
retail.
But was she
6-hour
working
shifts? Really?
Yeah, I'd work 3 to 9 at Foot Locker.
I don't know. I used to work at Kmart, and I remember we had 2 shifts. It was 8 to 5 or 1 to 10.
And that was part-time?
That was yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't do it every day, but it was probably 3 days or 4 days a
I
week.
think the rules technically to keep you under
40 hours.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they would, whatever you would do, you would. Plus I cut lawns and I did other stuff too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying, look at me. Back in my day, I worked hard, but she clearly isn't prepared for working 9-hour days.
And she's blown away by the fact that she can't afford to live in a big city.
I blame the pandemic too, because people are so used to now where they're like, well, of course I can work from home. Everybody works from home. It's like, no.
I know.
People got used to working from home. You know what I mean?
Part of this, though, I have to blame the parents.
Yes, exactly.
1,000%.
I mean, this individual was so coddled and so spoiled and everything given to her that, first of all, it's all about her. There's no humility. There's no attitude of serving, working, work ethic, living a purpose-driven life. None of that. It's all vacant.
Remember those 2 Las Vegas thugs who murdered the 64-year-old biker?
Yep. And filmed it in the car.
Sickening.
Cowards.
So they were tried yesterday. And go over to YouTube, by the way, if you really want to be steamed up. YouTube.com/@1210WPHT if you want to see this video. Because they're in court with the mother and the daughter, the wife,
the widow,
and the daughter of the 64-year-old man who was murdered by these 2 people, just smirking, just smiling and smirking.
All fun and games.
Even in one of them, when they were arrested for this, you can hear one of the juveniles saying, "I'll be out in 30 days."
Oh yeah. Yeah, because he's aware that that in today's day and age
because of the juvenile thing. Yeah. This is the CBS 8 affiliate in Vegas. It's their report. Cut 3, go.
Trying to mad dog us and intimidate us, which didn't work.
Jesus Ayala and Jameer Keys smiling at the widow and daughter of Andy Probst as they leave the courtroom Tuesday. The teens are accused of intentionally hitting the 64-year-old retired.
Oh,
no. Sorry about that.
Trying to mad dog us and intimidate us, which...
All right, let's start this over because my thing is...
This thingy froze up.
My thing froze up. Sorry about that, Daniel. But yeah, if you're watching right now, go over to YouTube. You can see this because it's nauseating.
And they have to blur it out. Watch for the blur. They're giving the finger to the widow and the grieving daughter.
Yeah, and the one guy has his head shaved with a tattoo on his face. And he's got this, and he's walking around swinging his shoulders like he's at the carnival.
You would, if this was me, I would be in jail because I would have jumped over something.
Some
strangle them.
Yeah, some sheriff would have to hold me back.
Starting cut 3 over again. Daniel, go.
trying to mad dog us and intimidate us, which didn't work.
Jesus Ayala and Jameer Keys smiling at the widow and daughter of Andy Probst as they leave the courtroom Tuesday. The teens are accused of intentionally hitting the 64-year-old retired California police chief.
Boom, 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 boom.
They're charged with murder and additional felonies in connection with an August 14th crime spree. Police say they also hit this 72-year-old cyclist that morning. He survived. A trial now scheduled for September of next year.
These guys, they did not respect the court whatsoever.
The teens appear to communicate with each other, at times covering their faces and also laughing.
I'm not scared. You are. 100%.
On Monday, we obtained police body camera video showing the moment after Ayala was taken into custody.
You think this juvenile gonna do something? I'll be out in like 30 days. Watch.
Just a game to them. Like, they really don't care if anyone else lives or dies. They don't care about themselves if they live or die. And that can just be shown through their own actions.
Who do you think failed here leading up to this?
A multitude of different people failed, but I think ultimately the parents on all ends, they're the ones who failed.
Taylor and Crystal Probst say they'll continue to come to court for the teens' appearances to seek justice and to put a face on the victim of the teens' alleged crime. Crystal wears this Apple Watch her husband was wearing when he was killed.
Ugh.
Taylor and her brother received an alert on that fateful day.
It reminds me he's here with me in the courthouse.
I'll tell you what, they had better and more. They were more composed than I would have been.
I was just gonna say the daughter was very composed about
Yes.
it. I don't know. I definitely could have been. But look, there's no rehabbing those two. They need to be taken out back and put a bullet in the back of their heads.
I mean,
like animals.
You talk about lock them up, throw out the key. This is the prime case where you send these two to the slammer and let them rot for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, there's no rehabbing that.
No,
there's
no remorse there.
No,
these are two kids that threw away their life. They clearly don't value anyone else's life. They don't value their own life. And now I didn't know this, but they hit a second person.
Yeah, I
so
didn't know that either.
They killed the 64-year-old retired officer.
Yep.
And then they hit a 72-year-old.
Yeah.
Who
survived.
This was a TikTok challenge that was issued, and this was a game.
Yep.
But I think that the mention of blaming the parents, unfortunately, there are not parents in the picture. There are no dads in the picture. And you look at the stats, and this is Census Bureau, this is the government, 23% of American homes. You think about that, 23% single mother. And when I can tell you as a mom of boys need their dad.
Oh, yeah.
As much as I believe, I matter as a parent, as a mom, I do.
Mm-hmm.
But these teenagers, young men who are going to, obviously the 18-year-old being charged as an adult, their life was doomed by the fact that they don't have a father in their life, and then on top of everything else that's going on.
Yep.
But this whole situation in America, we're the only modern country in the world that has this kind of a stat where kids just don't have a dad in their life.
Right.
And so sure, there are cases where are a lot of families in a blended family situation, a divorced family situation, but the dad is still hands-on and in the kids' lives. But 23% just don't have dad in their lives.
Well, and also, too, I mean, you talk about having a mom in your life if you're a boy. I also believe that girls need to have a dad in their life, because that sets the tone for what's acceptable behavior from a man. Because then if they don't have that when they're growing up, then they think, moving forward that, and then it's almost like their built-in excuse for getting into a bad relationship with a guy. And the worst part of all of this is not just the walking out, but as they're sitting there on the bench in shackles and handcuffs, they're about 5, maybe 10 feet apart from each other, just looking over at each other and giggling about it. Here's our moment in front of the cameras. Let's have a good time.
Yeah,
sick.
I hear what you're saying, Dawn, about the dad thing, but I also feel like that's evil to the core. Like that is, I don't know how I don't know if you're, I don't know if you're born, I don't know what it is, but that is, I don't know if any parental figure can straighten that out. That is evil to the core. And sometimes you just have to realize that, hey, you know what? messed up in life and start over. But like these guys just have these guys just have no remorse for anything.
None.
And I don't know how a parent or anybody can get through to that. How do you get through to that?
Well, in a weird way, I think there's some validity to what you're saying, and I'm going to bring it back to, the shootings that were going on that we were talking about with these mass shootings. It's like you can do everything in your power to prevent somebody from getting a gun, or if it's mental health or whatever it is, but at the end of the day, if this person really wants to pull it off, they will. And I think you can apply that here. You could be the best parent in the world, but ultimately, you don't have the total control over the free will of another person, in this case, your child. So, I mean, I think obviously the odds are much better in your favor if you're a great parent. But at the end of the day, if your young little punk son decides to,
Yeah.
I mean, for all we know, what was the story? It was the Cheltenham, the kid who shot Officer Fitzgerald from Temple. Wasn't he brought up in a nice, quote, middle-class family with parents? And, I mean, he still ended up executing a cop. I think he had a pretty good upbringing, if I recall the backdrop of that story.
Well, by pretty good, it lived in the suburbs, lived in, Bucks County, lived in a nice house. But that's just because somebody grew up in a
That's
nice,
true.
expensive
Doesn't mean
house.
the parents are great. Yeah.
I have no idea what the family situation is.
fair
And
point.
in that one as well, I don't hear a dad in the picture. There was a stepfather, but I wonder, and I know this is not even politically correct for me as a woman to say, because we are women. We're supposed to do it all. But I'm telling you, as a mom of boys, and Greg Stocker, you've just begun this journey. Wait till you see how your son emulates you. And yes, Nick, I think that for fathers and daughters, the way you treat your daughters is the way they will expect to be treated.
Yes.
Right? And
Correct.
so that goes to a different issue with girls. But there is, and I'm not a scientist or a doctor, I'm just saying that boys desperately need their father in their life, or their father figure. Because I have a nephew who, I mean, my dad pretty much, because my sister went through, like, I won't get into it, horrible divorce, but my dad became the dad.
Yeah.
So there are some stepdads or, granddads, et cetera, who become the father figure, but somebody who's a loving, hands-on father figure. It makes all the difference in the life, especially of a boy, of a young man. It's primitive. And I know as I say this, it's not politically correct, but I've lived it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it unless I had lived it.
Well, what about the people who have S-heads for fathers? You know what I mean? Like not every father is, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Like, just because you spread your seed around doesn't necessarily make you a good dad.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean?
That's
so
true.
I don't I get what you're saying, that like they need fathers in their life, but a lot of these dudes are horrendous people. You know what I mean? So, a lot of them are better off without their fathers in their lives.
And you should
know what
also
I mean?
we also have to get back to a point in time in a day and age where back in the day you were able to parent your kid and parent them hard and discipline them. Like, I'm not saying, beat the crap out of your kid, but we now live in a day and age where, I mean, schools are trying to tell parents they don't have a right to know certain things, which is outrageous on its face. But, when I was growing up, my dad put his hands on me, I don't know, 6, 7 different times. And it was in extreme situations. But you know what? Message delivered. And I usually did not make that same mistake again. Now everybody's, so afraid of their own shadow because we live in a snowflake society. I don't know. I turned out okay.
James on the YouTube chat writes, "Them boys gonna have daddies soon."
Oh, they will.
That's true.
They will.
I don't know about daddy, but Bubba is
they're
gonna love you.
They're pretty little boys.
Yep.
They're gonna do well.
They'll be celebrating National Tight End Day in prison.
Oh,
and watch Travis Kelce.
Ugh. It's you have to laugh about it because it's just so nauseating. All right, let's go to the shooting that happened last night in Maine. So last night on CNN, they had a eyewitness who was, I guess, there that happened, and the CNN anchor asked about her daughter. And she said that her daughter felt better when she went home, that I was carrying a firearm at home. This is cut 13.
What did you tell your daughter who was with you? I just can't imagine, as a mother, how to make sense of it and to relay that to a child.
I mean, we have open dialogue, you know, so we talked about it. She was definitely scared. She's like, you know, she started crying. She's like, this is a scary world we live in, Mom. And I'm like, I know. And, you know, my older kids were talking about getting backpacks for the bulletproof backpacks, you know, because it seems like there's always some sort of threat at the school. You know, it's just starting to be stuff like that gets real when something so big happens. It's like, okay, yeah, it really could be our school next. So we came home and she wanted to lock up right away. We locked up the windows, everything. I do have a firearm, so it made her feel better to know that I was carrying it around and had it all ready to go. Just she was scared somebody was going to come into our home, and I told her you gotta remember that odds could be so slim for that. So try not to worry so much, but I will do whatever I can to make you feel better in the meantime too.
So she sounds very, very logical. She's saying, you know, the odds of this happening, you know, basically slim to none. She obviously is a believer in the Second Amendment because she owns a firearm. The bulletproof book bag, though, I don't know. I feel like, and I know she's an eyewitness and kidding the whole thing. I don't know that your child needs a bulletproof book bag, but you know,
I think it's a cool idea. I thought about it.
It's a very advanced thought, but you know, when we talk about the odds of this happening at the school,
Yeah,
like
that's
we've
what
said.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is, and I said this earlier. This is us as parents, and this is media that have blown these situations up. I mean, they're as rare as we think they are.
Yeah.
But they just get 24/7 news coverage, and it's plastered on everything. So you think it's more prevalent than it actually is.
Right, and we gave you the stats and the numbers dating back, almost 30 years now.
Yes,
to Columbine.
the last time this thing happened.
Right.
So I'm just, you know, the daughter wanting a bulletproof backpack to me is either the media or the parents scaring the you-know-what out of their daughter.
Yeah.
I think I will say the Kevlar idea is a good idea. It should be, geez, here in Philadelphia, you know, that should be a question to the mayoral candidates, quite frankly. Because to your point, it's not a shooter situation like this tragedy happening in Maine, but in Philadelphia, think about the violence that happens on a daily basis during the school year to school-age kids being shot just outside school.
Right.
You know, we just talked about the final arrest of that, you know, the young man who's accused of gunning down Nicholas Elizalde just outside Roxborough High School.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but then we get to what's the cost of the Kevlar book bag, and then we're going to hear. I mean, if we're talking about, well, we're going to cancel Halloween in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion because not everybody can afford a costume. Well, who the hell can afford a Kevlar book bag, right?
Some instant feedback here about those two punks in Vegas. Kevin Pools on the YouTube chat writes, those two Utes used to be tight ends. Soon they will be wide receivers.
Yes, they will. They'll be flanking out a little further from the ball.
Snow Bunny Gal writes, not growing up with a dad is no excuse for these two sickos. I raised my son on my own, 365, 724. He turned out amazing. These two are just plain evil. I agree with her.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's go to. Did you see this situation that happened at Cooper Union, a college in New York? Jewish students at a New York City college were locked inside a school library on Wednesday as pro-Palestinian rally moved through the building with protesters banging on the doors and chanting "Free, Free Palestine."
Oh boy!
Great.
Jake Novak, the former media director at the Israeli consulate in New York, posted on social media yesterday that several Jewish students were locked in the school library at about 5:15 p.m. Several Jewish students at Cooper Union are currently locked in the school library as a pro-Hamas rally outside of the Cooper Union building learned the Jews were not afraid and sitting in were afraid and sitting in the libraries. So they started knocking on the door. We have a video of it. It's Daniel, if you can kind of put it on a loop here, but you can see I have the audio, and they're in the library, and they're banging on the doors. This is cut 14. Look at that. I mean, that's scary.
Yeah, I'm watching. Okay, yeah. So
this is terrifying. I just imagine this.
Yep.
If the kids locked inside that library, let's just say were African American kids.
Oh, yeah.
And you had a bunch of crazy white people who were banging on the door, and we would have riots in the streets. This is an outrage, and this is such an outrage, and they should be charged. What happened to the federal hate crime, or where's DOJ?
Yeah, don't tell me this falls under First Amendment free speech rights, right? This is what I'm talking about.
This is incredible that this is happening at
these poor
universities.
Kids.
I would love to know the context. Now, were those kids in the library and that started and they decided to lock it? Did they get locked in there by the pro-Palestinian protesters? What's the context of them being essentially?
Yeah, I don't know if they saw that coming, so they decided to close and lock the doors because they felt their safety was being threatened. I mean, there's only, it looks like if you go over to YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT, you can see the video. It looks like there's only 4 of them.
Yeah.
So maybe they lock the doors in fear for their safety.
Right. Well, this is, I think, actually the same thing that happened to Riley Gaines when she was at the San Francisco school, where she had to go into like a conference room and lock the door. And I think people were banging on the outside and basically telling her to get the hell out of there.
This is like what is going on?
I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, but we only, and Dawn, you make a great point. It's only a story when it fits certain criteria.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's outrageous.
It is.
And for those, I mean, if I'm a parent and that's my student, I'm and I'm not a litigious person, but I have a lawyer. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm pulling my kid out of school. This is horrifying.
These are Nazi tactics. These are Nazi tactics, by the way.
Yes.
Jewish students scared for their lives while crazy
and calling
people.
Police.
Yes.
Calling 911, saying, "Please help us."
Yeah, and let's flip this around. Forget forget it being African Americans with white people on the outside. Let's just say the people knocking on the door and banging on the door were Jewish, and the Palestinian people were on the inside.
Oh my
well
God!
Put.
Can
CNN
you
would
imagine?
explode.
Oh yeah, well put.
Yeah, we would forget the mass shooting and go right to this.
Yeah, we're gonna bail out of the Maine shooting for.
One more time, Daniel, if you can, to play it. Play it. It's nauseating to say. I don't know what else to say.
One of the CBS affiliates shows that the library has windows to the outside.
Yeah.
And you see some of the protesters outside that are banging on the windows are holding up signs and taunting the Jewish kids.
Yep.
And so ultimately there was an interview at one of the local stations where one of the Jewish kids said they finally, because they were calling frantically because they're thinking we're going to get killed. They had to be escorted out of the library by law enforcement and escorted away.
I'm sure that they will ask Karine Jean-Pierre about this today, and she'll pivot to the rise of Islamophobia in the United States.
By the way, the New York Post this morning has a really good picture of on the front page. I don't know if Daniel, if you can grab that, but it shows you the students walking up to the library, and it shows the Jewish students in the library. It's Cooper Union University. I've never heard of it, and it's in the East Village in New York City.
New York.
So
probably a small private school.
Yeah.
And you might say, well, how do they even know who the boys are wearing? The traditional headwear, right? So that you know that these are faithful and practicing Jewish kids, right?
Yep.
And so to me, that even to Nick's point, what if these were individuals such as, let's say, girls dressed in the full traditional coverings of the Muslim, wear?
Oh, Ilhan Omar would have a
right.
She'd throw a fit.
Yeah, where's she today?
Yeah,
Where's the squad calling this out? They were barricaded in a library.
Where's Rashida?
Because of a mob.
Yep.
Think of just okay. This is.
I know.
Think of the coverage. The white guys in tiki torches got in Virginia or wherever the hell that was. Think of the coverage that was. Think of the narrative that was shaped by that.
The reality is this is wrong to do to anybody of any group. Yet when these people play the selective politics and the identity politics game, they get exposed for the frauds they are.
So, piggybacking off of that, this is an NYU law school student. She was on NBC News Live last night, refusing to condemn Hamas.
Unbelievable.
Well, Greg, they're not a terrorist organization. They're a government.
Cut 15, go.
Do you condemn Hamas's actions on October 7th?
I think what I use my platform for and who I condemn was pretty clear by my message. And I think that I will continue to condemn apartheid and military occupation.
Oh, my God.
And that in this moment, I'm focused on calling for an end to genocide and calling for an immediate ceasefire.
Multiple nose rings, by the way.
Oh,
so
my God.
you know the logic doesn't exist for people with the nose rings. I mean, she legitimately does not answer the question. No. That is a complete political pivot. That person right there has got a great future in politics. Doesn't answer the question. And doesn't condemn it.
NYU also, like, she's not a dumb person.
Well, we gave you the story a few weeks ago when we started talking about this Israel-Middle East conflict. There was somebody at the NYU, was it the bar admission or whatever? I gave you the story of the lady who, I can't even remember the context of it, but it was so astronomically stupid. But it was in this, under this umbrella, so to speak, of this, this refusal to, I mean, again, Hamas is a terrorist organization. Don't give me this government nonsense. Governments don't walk around beheading babies.
Yeah.
That's what terrorists do.
Well, let me ask you guys this. This kind of piggybacks off of what a story I sent both of you last night about these donors that are
Harvard and Penn
refusing to
they're bailing.
To give money as long as these how do we feel about, I mean, obviously in the backdrop of what's going on in schools, everybody's going to be like, yes, pull their funding, pull their money. But if that means that the donors have the ultimate say in what happens in the universities,
well, they always have. Same thing even
Do they, though?
Same thing when you look at athletics in college. The boosters control everything. The big, deep pockets.
Yes.
If they want you gone, if you're a coach and you got an $11 million contract and they want you out bad enough, they find the money for it.
Well, let me ask you this then. If a college wants to have Riley Gaines in there and speak, and a donor was like, nope, you have her speak, I'm pulling my funding. And all of a sudden she doesn't. So just reverse it for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be okay with that then?
It's not a matter of whether I'm okay with it. I think that's the only way to get change, and we saw this in the summer this past year where Republicans or conservatives or just common sense people were boycotting companies like Target and Kohl's and said we're not going to spend, we're not going to buy, and that's how you get change. You don't cancel an individual. You don't finish their career over a poorly worded tweet. You hit them financially, and that's what they're doing here. Because these schools aren't going to exist without their donors.
I guess I'm not saying this properly. My question is more of how much say should donors to universities have in the school's curriculum or whatever? You know what I mean? Like Harvard basically exists because of donors, because of the rich ass donors that they have.
Well,
there.
I would love to know for a school. Let's say there's 3 ways that schools make money.
Yeah. From
people that pay for tuition as students, from the donors, and from revenue generated from athletics. Let's just say it's a third of it's 33.3% of each. Well, donors are accounting for a third of what you do. But we just heard, especially with some of these schools, like Harvard, and the one guy at Harvard, he donates $3 million annually, I believe, or was it $30 million? Either way, it's a ridiculous number. So I think they have say, they should have say, and at the end of the day, money talks, man. Always has, always will.
Is it? Do you guys both look at it like the free market? Like that's money speaking, and our wallet goes, and then therefore they get the most say.
It's capitalism, right? With money comes power.
Is it though? With
power comes the ability to influence, so to speak.
Look, I agree with you. I said weeks ago that I think that the only way to get to the root of what's going on in colleges is for this donor money to dry up.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I'm thinking about it, like, how much say do they?
Well, the students are going to have a lot of say too, future students, because if enrollment dips, let's say all of a sudden, on average, 10,000 people enroll at UPenn, but over the next 5 years, due to all this anti-Semitism that is out there, it dips down to 6,000 per year. Well, they just lost 40% of their typical enrollment over the failure to support people that are on the verge of trying to being eradicated from the planet.
Yeah, I guess it's easy to say. It's easy to say when stuff like this is happening because I think any normal person looks at this and sees it's egregious and wants it stopped. And I'm the same way as well. But I'm talking about like more mundane things, like how much say should a donor have? I just don't know if you're allowing them to have all of this say just because they give a ton of money. I mean, that's what we criticize politicians for. We criticize politicians for being bought and paid for by whoever their biggest donor is, and they're beholden to them. So how is that in college any different?
That's a good point.
Well, and this is all goes back to what? How everybody's getting played.
Yeah.
Follow the money. Follow the money, big money, with regard to partisan politics, fundraising, as well as for these universities. Think about all of this big money now, and the fact that their biggest donors are looking at this, saying, "Wow, this is crazy."
Yep.
Because it's crazy. And so ultimately, I think, this is a good thing, and the donors can choose where they want to put their money.
Yeah.
But you think about, your alma mater, they're always fundraising. But these universities have so much money, and they need the money, and they want to build.
I just got a call 2 weeks ago, and I didn't answer. It was a voicemail from Temple.
Yeah.
About making a donation. I'm like, no.
Well, why don't you say, I'll give you X amount of dollars if you step up your security and let these kids learn in peace without being feared of being shot.
Because if they call me on my bluff, I don't have X amount of dollars. It's like, I've got pocket aces. Actually, no, I don't.
But that's what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you did have millions of dollars that you could play with, you could make that demand, and then they could say, and that would be a good thing, I guess.
Yep.
But what if you said, hey, you know what? There's too many conservative speakers at Temple. You guys need to get rid of them.
Yep.
And if you do, I'll give you $10 million.
Yep.
It's a very, I don't know, it's an interesting point, and it's an interesting
it is a bit of a slippery slope.
It is a little bit of a slippery slope. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's go to the school board meeting, shall we? This mom, by the way, if you want to see this on YouTube, she holds up a picture that was in one of her kids' books in the library, and it's like it's two women naked, kind of.
Oh, so it's pornographic.
Hello.
So she holds it up at a school board meeting, and a cop comes over and says, "You can't hold that up here."
Actually, can I see that a little bit closer? Let me
It's unbelievable. This is Hillsborough County. I guess that's, was that Florida? I think it's Florida. I don't know.
Okay.
Cut 9 here, Daniel. Go.
Shameful, base, and degrading. All 7 members of the committee were also asked to look at this image. This was in the book, and they all unanimously said that and along with that 15-page this is in children's libraries here in Hillsborough County, approved by that committee unanimously at Plant Heights in multiple schools. There's 10 images of that woman's naked breast in that book.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Next speaker.
Yeah. I know, we've heard enough of you, rational, logical parent. Please step aside.
Where were these books, by the way, when
I know. I really didn't take advantage of my library time.
I didn't either.
I was just reading Sports Illustrated for kids. What a loser I was. I mean, again, but where's the screening process? There's got to be, I don't know if it's the librarian, I don't know if it's superintendents that have to go through these types of things and what lists are created with, hey, this could be deemed graphic material. Superintendent discretion is advised. It just seems to make its way out into the library, and it's the parent that always comes across it.
Shafe on the YouTube chat writes, the cop is taking that home for evidence.
He took it to the men's room.
Stop.
Finally, guys, before we get to Dawn's Big 3, Mike Johnson. Is that his name?
Yeah. Mike Johnson almost sounds like he's not relevant, right?
By the way, anybody who says, "Oh yeah, I've heard of him," is lying. Nobody's heard of him.
No, I've heard the name, as I said in the Big Take, but prior to yesterday, other than knowing he's from Louisiana and he has an R in front of his name, I would not have been able to point him out in the lineup.
This is,
I think is a good thing, by the way.
In my opinion, this is a result of them just being tired of taking votes.
Just give it to Johnson.
Fine, whatever. Give it to Johnson. So he gets up, and after he wins the speakership, and says this, cut 10.
The challenge before us is great.
but the time for action is now, and I will not let you down. I want to say to the American people, on behalf of all of us here, we hear you. We know the challenges you're facing. We know that, that there's a lot going on in our country, domestically and abroad, and we are ready to get to work again to solve those problems, and we will. Our mission here is to serve you well, to restore the people's faith in this House, in this great and essential institution.
Howard Johnson is right, what Gabby Johnson said.
Look, you know what, though? He's a little dry. He's nuts and bolts, but I like him. I don't ever get the feeling that he's going to be, posting nonstop tweets and taking videos. He's not going to be doing power cleans in a hotel room like Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's going to get down to work. He's going to be the leader that this party needs. I had Jim Jordan 1, Byron Donalds 2, so I can't sit here and say, oh, they got my guy, this was my guy. But everything that I've read about him, I think if you're a conservative, you like him. If you're a Trump supporter, you like him. Trump has endorsed him. He's not McCarthy. He's not Scalise. He's not going to be McCarthy 2.0. And now, there's a lot of things that need to be done. So let's, to be honest, what's the old adage when it comes to like a referee or an umpire? The best ones go unnoticed. We don't have to ever bring them up, right? Well, because he was just doing his job and getting it done. This guy seems like a guy who just kind of does his thing, gets it done.
Road Warrior, about an hour ago, tweeted us, guys, and said a new speaker first bill, he said, will be stand alone to support Israel. That's great, but he could have tied it to securing the border, not funding to resettle illegals. Use the leverage you have when you can. Not a great start.
Well, he is very much focused on the border. We tried to play that clip earlier this morning, but we had a snafu. He talked about the southern border yesterday. Yeah. So I would say to Road Warrior, pull up the RNC Research Twitter feed, and you'll see the video clip of him talking about the border yesterday. Yeah, it's out there. Yeah. So. There you go.
There you go.
All right. That is what's on the cut sheet part 1 here on this Thursday morning. We're going to do the big 3 now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's get to Dawn Stenzelin's Big 3 at 8:34.
It's the Big 3 at 8 on Kayal and Company.
Big 3 at 8, sponsored on this beautiful, sunny, summer-like morning. We're sponsored by Best Work Industries for the Blind. So I've altered the Big 3 to cater to what you've been talking about, because we've had rallies and walkouts of hundreds of students at Philadelphia's largest universities protesting in support of Palestinian people in the war-torn Gaza Strip. So students yesterday walking out and protesting on these campuses, ripping into academia and academic leadership, accusing them of being biased and of being pro-Israel since Hamas terrorist attacks on October 7th. So these protests happened at the University of Pennsylvania. This was yesterday. U of Penn, Temple, your alma mater, Nick Kayal, and Drexel universities, all 3. And they're part of, we're seeing this on campuses nationwide, but these 3, so I think some of our largest, if not the largest 3, really representing the tensions that we're talking about, the tension growing between students who feel one way, as well as faculty, and then the administration, and as well the major donors who have been very critical as to how they don't want to donate to an institution, even their alma mater, that's aligning themselves with, a group that seems to be anti-Semitic.
What's amazing is there's going to be, or there is a war going on overseas in that region of the world. Yet it almost feels like, to your point, with the rising tensions in this country, it almost feels like we're ready to fight that war domestically here amongst ourselves in a weird way, right? Like you saw that library scene where they're banging on the doors, and I'm not going to sit there and say that it's the same as physically assaulting somebody, but you have all these staged walkouts and protests. I think you're going to start seeing clashes in the streets between pro-Israel and pro-Hamas or pro-Palestinian people in this country. I really do. I didn't realize it was that. Like I said, I didn't realize that there was just so much pro-Hamas support in this country. This and it's a generational thing as well. It's the 18 to 24-year-olds, which is odd because they're the same ones that protest for BLM, yet they're not doing the same thing to protect Israelis.
Yeah, I think, and by the way, yesterday's walkout was a week after we talked about a lot of to give credit to UPenn. Remember, they had that huge march in unity with Israel, but it was more prayerful. It wasn't a protest. It was just saying we stand with Israel, and it was prayerful and hopeful that there's safety for everyone. And they did pray for those Palestinian citizens. To your point,
yep.
But Nick, I think to your point, this is more about the fact that Hamas, I have to say, sick but good job on social media of convincing a certain section of our society that they are the victims.
Right.
And that is strange to me, how they could, through social media, essentially make a bunch of sheep believe that, oh no, we're the underdog, we're the victim in all of this.
Right. That's a good point.
And speaking of that, and just going off of what you said, on the heels of the speaker vote, the new Republican, obviously, Speaker Mike Johnson of Louisiana, the vote marks the first time the House passed that legislation in 3 weeks. So that first legislation was a resolution, seemed like a no-brainer that could be bipartisan and bring folks together, a resolution affirming U.S. support for Israel in its ongoing war with Hamas. But I think the numbers are a little disturbing as to who voted no and who voted present. So 9 Democrats voted no. Rashida Tlaib.
That's shocking.
Corey Bush.
Oh, man.
Jamal Bowman.
Oh, the squad, the whole squad.
Andre Carson. Al Green. AOC. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Summer Lee, Pennsylvania, right?
Yep.
Delia Ramirez, and saving the best for last, Ilham Omar.
The squad's going to squad, Dawn.
Wow.
Squad got to stick together.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So how will this go over, with voters like AOC? She's had some problems going back and forth. Remember that when she was trying to get reelected? But another half dozen Democrats, by the way, they had all voted present. It's sick.
By the way, has Ilhan Omar apologized yet for?
Has she taken that tweet down
about the Israelis in the hospital?
Yeah,
because I don't know. You could say that a lot of the unrest that happened was because her ilk was out there trumpeting the fake news.
Either her
or propaganda.
Or Tlaib. One of them is tripled down, I think.
Was it Tlaib that did it? I don't remember. They're all. They need to be censured, is what they need to be.
Right.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
Honestly, it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful that they're allowed to get away with this. Right. It really is.
Yes. But then when you do that, they're racist.
I know.
I'm the victim again.
I know.
No, you just keep opening up your mouth and saying stupid crap.
They literally bought into war propaganda. Like it's 1939 Nazi Germany.
I know.
I can't. How gullible and dumb are you?
They are.
And you represent people.
Well, they're hypocritical more than anything. I actually don't even know that they're really dumb. They just they go for a cause, and then the same type of thing comes right back around to them, but the certain box hasn't been checked, so it's like then you can point out their fraudulence right there.
Yep.
Aha, gotcha.
And so to the point of who was it that tweeted out? Was it Road Warrior, or who was it that said that they thought this was a bad idea, that the first piece of legislation?
Road Warrior said that.
Is it Road Warrior?
Yeah.
So here's the thing, Road Warrior. Look at all the graphics. I know, but look at all the graphics.
Here's the thing, Twitter dude.
Here's the thing. This has gone viral because how can you? They're putting up these Democrats, and everybody is broadly criticizing this and ripping into them. So I think that maybe the new speaker is astute to looking at something that could unify. They got widely bipartisan support, but ultimately is calling out the most radical individuals in the House of Representatives and reminding everybody of who those radicals really are. They're not Republicans.
There you go.
So there's that.
Yeah, take that, Road Warrior.
I know that we had sent this amongst ourselves. No, I love Road Warrior. I'm just trying to, bring
Nobody
forth.
knows. Okay.
I'm bringing forth the conversation.
He's just mad that I finished the bike ride quicker than he did.
Bad.
And I'm not even a professional biker.
That one hurt. I wanted to update because I didn't do the story the other day. What? What are you laughing at?
Greg's just reading Twitter.
Oh. Now he's giggling.
Don't worry about him. Just keep going.
Remember the story of the 2 million dimes from a semi that was parked in Northeast Philadelphia? Remember this?
Did they find it?
Now they have 4 people facing these federal charges for stealing the 2 million dimes from that semi in the Northeast.
All right. Anybody want to do quick math? How much is 2 million dimes?
That's crazy. They were
2 million
picked
dimes.
up. I know, 2 million.
Whoever
dimes
gets it right gets Friday off.
They were picked up from the U.S. Mint Philadelphia facility and were bound for Miami when the driver pulled into the parking lot to get a little nap, like a Nick Kayal nap kind of a thing.
Right.
And it might have been an overnight nap, but it was back in April 13th. And the problem was it was broken into overnight in that Walmart parking lot there on Byberry Road in the Northeast.
Yep.
And remember that? We talked, they actually spilled some, but they got away with a ton.
Yep.
They've now caught these 4 individuals.
All right. And for those wondering, 2 million dimes is $200,000.
Wow.
Was it worth it?
Was it worth it?
That's not even a gold bar.
That's just a low check that the Bidens give out from Ukraine. You think Joe said, "Give me a check for $200,000 or give me 2 million dimes"?
Jeez. But it just sounds like an inside job. There were a total of 6 men dressed in gray hoodies, armed with, they just had bolt cutters, and that approached the truck. It just felt like it. How did they know what was in there, etc.? But yeah, they got away with it. They didn't get away with it. They ultimately want people to know they caught them, and it's a federal crime.
Were the dimes in those little packages, like those little wrapper things?
Yeah, whatever happened to those?
Yeah.
It looks like they were in big containers.
I remember back in
like an Utz pretzel jar thing.
Exactly.
One of those big water cooler things.
Yeah,
those
exactly.
big jugs.
Where do you go? You know how like in Giant you can go and like put the thing in and it comes out as like where do you go for $200,000 in dimes?
I remember back in the day, my old man used to have those little paper wrappers.
Yeah.
And he would keep them in his desk drawer, and he'd always have a bunch of loose change. And then he would next morning there was like 3 or 4 rolls of pennies on the on his desk.
Yeah.
And I'm just like.
Take some time to do that. Yeah,
just leave them in your cup holder in your car,
like we all do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spill things on them; they're all sticky. They stick to the.
Nothing worse than a sticky nickel, by the way.
Nick's Sticky Nickel.
Yeah, sounds like a bad emo band. We are Sticky Nickel.
How does that sound?
Well, we want to thank Best Work Industries for the Blind for sponsoring our Big 3. Their e-commerce store is helping businesses succeed in all work environments. BestWorkSupplyCenter.com, offering traditional office products, cleaning supplies, furniture, technology, and so much more. Free shipping and next-day delivery. Shop now, save big time at BestWorkSupplyCenter.com.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much.
Is that a stretch?
Yeah, a little stretch here. So we got 2 charges when we come back. One is a criminal charge that has been long overdue, and the other one is a financial charge that I'm not sure anybody would ever make. We'll give you those 2 charges when we come back. It's Kayal and Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Get ready to start the NFL week off right tonight. Because right now, all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay for tonight's Thursday night football game with the Bucs and the Bills. All you have to do is place a 3-leg same-game parlay, and you'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. How about this one? Stephon Diggs to score an anytime touchdown. The Bills on the under with, or the Bills minus 8.5, and the under for 43.5 in total points scored. You can build your own or choose from one of the popular same-game parlays pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. You just go into the app right there, and all of them are pre-built for you right there. You just pick one. Pick one you like. See what the most people are betting on. You can bet on that one, too. Visit FanDuel.com/Greg so you don't miss out on your chance to get a no-sweat same-game parlay on America's #1 sportsbook in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT, and he's the official betting partner of the NFL. 21 and over, President PA. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. When it comes to all your home improvement needs, trust is everything. And that's why for years, I've been talking about the amazing work my friends Stephanie and Matt and the entire team at Emmons has done for me and my home. My roof, doors, windows, siding, and yes, remodeling projects. Emmons can bring that same quality of work to all of your kitchen and bathroom remodeling needs. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, and now baths and kitchens. Emmons is the Delaware Valley's one-stop shop for all of your home improvement needs. Call 856-556-3229 and get a free estimate, or go online to emmonsroofing.com, or even better, come visit the Emmons Design Showroom in Cherry Hill. emmonsroofing.com. It's about trust, it's about quality, it's about great work, and that's why me and my family have used them for basically every project we've done to improve our home. emmonsroofing.com.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
At least 16 people are dead and dozens more injured after shootings in Lewiston, Maine. Police identifying Robert Card as a person of interest. United Auto Workers reached a tentative contract agreement with Ford. And after weeks of clashing, the House has elected Louisiana Republican Mike Johnson as its new speaker.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
There are so many discounts and offers at Cherry Hill Volvo. This 30-second spot is not enough time to share all the benefits of purchasing or leasing a new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo. Discounts and incentives for this month start at $5,000 and can be as high as $11,000. Purchase or lease a new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo now and take advantage of these fabulous discounts and offers. Visit us soon for the best selection of Volvos. The entire Cherry Hill Volvo team is waiting to partner with you.
This is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Free speech lives here.
Kayal and Company, 8:49 Thursday morning. Hopefully all of you off to a great start to your Thursday workday, especially you 9-to-5ers that get home at 6:15 and have no energy and no time left to do anything in your day and then cry about it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Shout out to all our 23-year-olds entering the real world.
Oh, I have to get on a train at 7:30.
I remember my dad told me so many times, he goes, I'm telling you, enjoy your childhood because you're going to miss it once you become an adult.
Can I play that one more time?
What, Jay Giles band?
This Gen Z girl who finds out what a real job is. Danny, I don't know if you're able to pull this up again, but I want to play cut 2 again.
Yes.
Gen Z girl finding out what a real job is.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me forever to get there.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, duh! If I was able to walk to work, and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till, like, 6:15 earliest, and then, like, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset. Oh my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9-to-5 schedule in general is crazy.
Yep.
Being in the office 9-to-5, like if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine. But like I'm not home. It takes me long to get home, and like like people that drive to the office, like you don't get off at 5.
Yeah.
And I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but like I literally get off, it's pitch black. Like I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like how do you have time to like meet like a guy? I don't know. Like how do you have time for like dating? Like I don't have time for anything, and I'm like so stressed out.
Yeah.
And I'm also getting my period, so that's why I'm all emotional. But like, am I so dramatic? It's fine.
Boy, just imagine what she would be like if she was sitting on the Schuylkill every day.
Yeah. I think about, because, you know, you really think about it, like 8:30 to like 9:15 is really the heart of morning drive here. And like, so people right now at 8:51 are stuck in traffic on the Schuylkill.
Yeah.
They might have to be there at 9:30, whatever.
Listening to her
complain. And like, are you effing kidding me? Yep. You spoiled. By the way. Okay.
I'm going to soften up.
Uh-oh.
I'm on, because the first time I watched it, but now that I see her, I think there is a piece of this.
She's pretty cute.
She's looking.
She's young, brother.
Oh, she's 23. Who cares?
She is looking for a man.
Yeah.
She needs a relationship. That's really what's going on here.
Yeah, she sounds like somebody that would date Dorenzo.
He's got Mary.
Well, that's what
He's spoken
that's
for.
what Anthony just said. this girl sounds like Mary in the text, in our group text.
So to me, actually, when I hear it the next time, it all goes to the fact that, you know, we do have a generation of people that pandemic, the lockdowns, they were denied their regular social stuff.
Right.
And so I do think there are certain cities that are better than others at bringing together like people like this, where you can just have a social atmosphere, get together, and have a social life. She to me, all of this is about the fact she needs a man, she wants a man.
Can we bring in Dorenzo if Dorenzo's still back there? I mean, Anthony, is this your girl? Is this like
Listen to him. Is he going? Hang on. Is that him or Greg?
It's me. That's Greg. Yeah. I'm wondering if this is actually like if maybe Mary has given this same exact rant to Anthony from Connecticut.
Yeah, when I get home from work, this is that entire spiel. That's what I hear every single night.
You're not joking. Like this is like.
I mean, I guess to an extent, but no, I mean, I definitely think most girls my age, think the sky is falling the second they go home from work and they have to run errands and do laundry and et cetera, et cetera. I just, we make all this stuff such a, almost victim mentality when we're all living great lives at the end of the day.
Yeah, but do you rub her feet and help her do the laundry for her?
I mean, I help her as much as I can. I try to calm her down. It doesn't always work, but I try.
Well, yes, he absolutely has to rub her feet down, or Dorenzo's going to hear this.
Anthony, you are fired.
He ain't doing S, and you know it. Yeah. He's not. Soggy Donuts brings up a very good point. She's ripe for the picking for a sugar daddy. Wow. Meaning some older guy who has some money. Be like, come on, sweetie, you want to sit?
One of our listeners.
Stop. I'm older. I don't have money, but I'm older.
You can be poor like me, sweetie.
You can live in Bluebell and have nothing and like it. So here's the thing too with her, and I think this is really the big problem with these. I'll say. Yeah, because you're 18 now. Let's go Dorenzo's age, 22 to 28-year-olds. I just think that they believe that when the workday is over, like the rest of it is all fun. And if you're a husband, a wife, you've got kids, like 9 to 5 is just like the first part of your day. Then you got, like Dawn says, he's taking the kids to practice and homework and, whether it's making dinner, doing laundry, bath, and shower time. Like, she's going to be in for a rude awakening if she ever gets married, has kids, and has, like, the traditional home family life. She might sit down at 8:45 and be like, wow, I haven't sat down since I got up this morning. Like, you run into those stretches in life where you're on the go until you go back to sleep.
I don't know. Part of me thinks that maybe she didn't think that she thought this was going to be something different. And the fact that she ends with, really talking about meeting a guy, and then she almost interrupts herself because maybe that's not politically correct to say.
Yeah.
And so maybe what I kind of hear her saying is she doesn't feel a real purpose in her life.
Right.
So I'm going to disagree with you. I actually think she might be happy if she meets the right person, falls in love.
What guy's going to sign up for that, though?
Oh, a ton. Look at her.
She's a
with
cutie.
that meltdown? I know.
She's a cutie,
Oh,
and
yes,
she
she
might be a
is.
doter.
Guys,
Nick, you just said you wanted it.
Yeah, I was just
Well,
gonna say.
physically she's attractive, but I can't deal with that. If she has meltdowns like that on the daily, I'm out.
Guys are stupid. Of course, somebody's signing up for that. Are you kidding?
But I also think it brings up the point that that she is somebody. Well, first of all, there's no talk radio station for her, right?
No.
But it's almost the therapy that people in that age group, they turn to social media for their support, for their moral support, right, or work support.
Yep.
It's almost like her support group to say, you know, I know I sound whiny, and then she's very afraid of looking like, oh, I wish I had a man in my life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But she needs support. That's what she's looking for. She's looking for purpose.
She needs a hug.
She needs a hug.
She's a spoiled brat. She needs to man up and face the world. Sorry, sweetheart.
And there's
you know
that
what I mean?
too, but
ugh.
You know, if the 9-to-5 job is not for you, may I suggest hosting a radio show?
Oh my God, I think I'm at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Then she'd be miserable. I didn't realize I have to prep so much. Like, you really spent 40 minutes writing your opening segment?
The most offensive thing about this is not the oh wow, look at that tractor trailer crash on the Jersey Turnpike. Sorry. It's on the New Jersey Turnpike. Sorry. Squirrel. A boat. The most offensive thing about this is that she immediately runs to social media and pours her heart out to, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, it's so depressing. It's so depressing.
Well, misery loves company, so people will like it and comment, and then she won't feel alone.
Yeah.
Oh, so there are other people that hate their 9-to-5 too.
Her parents failed her. I'm just saying they did not raise her properly. She was not raised with a good work ethic. The fact that she's only working right now at 23 or 24, whatever she is, you know, this is her first 9-to-5 job, and this is her first taste in the real world, is disgraceful.
Yep.
Yeah.
She should have been working at 16.
Yep. 855.
Like we all were. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah. I was working at Perkins at 16.
Yeah.
I was a busboy.
Perkins.
Perkins.
I love it.
Yep.
But not just that.
Go ahead, Don.
No, I can tell you a story about Perkins.
Oh, Perkins.
Well, Tiger Woods will tell you a few stories about Perkins as well.
Where he perked up.
Yeah, that's where he perked up. More ways than one. 855-839-1210. We'll come back. Final hour is on the way. And finally, Jamal Bowman, our favorite fire alarm culprit, has been criminally charged.
Wow.
We will get to that story and what Anthony Fauci will charge you for a night out on the town. But right now, Dawn Stensland with a word for QC Kinetics.
Yeah, because the future of joint pain relief is right here in Philadelphia, right here at your fingertips. So it's QC Kinetics Advanced Regenerative Medicine. It's breakthrough stuff. I can only use the word that so many of you have told me after you called QC Kinetics. You said, Dawn, it's like a miracle. I'm feeling good. I'm moving again. So here's the thing. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, just hold up a sec here. Get that second opinion. Learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. And I'm talking lasting real relief here. QC Kinetics does not mask the pain, okay? These treatments go to the very core of the problem using concentrated healing properties placed directly into your joint, restoring and repairing that damaged tissue. So just imagine your life this fall. No more pain in your knees, your aching hips, your shoulder, your back. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. What's life all about? It's about getting moving and doing what you love to do. And that's why so many of you have told me that QC Kinetics helped you get your life back with these all-natural treatments. All you have to do is call them. Call the local medical professionals. Get your free consultation. Do this today. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000. 999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Bringing in your front line is as easy as 1, 2, key. SEPTA Key Advantage is a unique and valuable transit benefit program that gives your employees all-day, everyday access to the entire SEPTA system. That means your staff can get in for their first, second, or third shifts and even travel the system on their off hours, seamlessly and affordably, all thanks to you. Learn how easy it is to customize a SEPTA Key Advantage program for your team at SEPTA.org/partner programs. That's SEPTA.org/partner programs.
The Crash Proof Retirement Show will air before and after Penn State football this Saturday. Tune in at 11 a.m., then again right after the game to learn how to create your own Crash Proof Retirement game plan.
Chronic pain, cancer, fatigue. Find out about the benefits of medical hydration therapy on Health Watch with Dr. Molly Fantasia every Sunday morning at 8 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
See Joe Conklin with the City Rhythm Orchestra with a tribute to Philadelphia sports fans at Springfield High School in Delaware County, Saturday, November 11th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com.
Is the IRS after you? Do you owe them more than you'll ever be able to pay? Are they levying your bank account, garnishing your paycheck? Are you staying up all night worrying they'll take everything you have? Are they bullying you into doing something you know is wrong? If so, you need somebody on your side that's not afraid to go toe-to-toe with them. Somebody that's not afraid to fight them. Somebody experienced in beating them at their own game and helping you. That person is Charles Montesino. He's a certified public accountant and certified tax resolution specialist. He's one of fewer than 200 in the entire country with both designations. He's known as the tax problem solver because he solves tax problems. The IRS is the biggest collection agency in the world. They don't always play fair. You need to even the playing field. Stop being bullied and get help from a professional that knows how to beat them. Call 609-970-4634. That's 609-970-4634. He's the taxpayer's advocate. He works for you. That's 609-970-4634.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
It was the day we all feared. The stock market went down and then kept going.
2008, when the markets lost over 50% of their value. But that was over a decade ago. Today, it's not so painful. Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group calls that financial amnesia. When you forget the pain of losing half your savings, and more importantly, ignore the fact that it can happen again. A complimentary consultation from Retire Ready Financial Group can show you where you stand now before the next market pullback. You're much closer to retirement than you were in 2008. Don't let it happen again. Call Jim Cipriotti at 610-894-7415 for a complimentary consultation. That's 610-894-7415 or online at retirereadyfg.com. You can forget where you put your keys, your glasses, or even your car. Don't forget to protect your retirement.
Investment advisory services offered through Retire Ready Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, NPN number 2083768.
We know you're excited because Eagles football is back. With the free Odyssey app, you can jump back and listen to the moments that matter, even if you missed it live. Hear Marks and Reese break down the offense, or listen to Nick Sirianni's interview with the 94 WIP Morning Show.
Yeah, I've been in a game where we scored a touchdown, and I'm fist pumping with the fans. I don't think I've done that since I played college football.
Stay close to the Eagles wherever you are this season. Download the free Odyssey app today. AUDACY. Hey, Paoli. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime.
It's Kayal and Company, 9:04 Thursday morning. This segment brought to you by Malvern Retreat House. Visit Malvern Retreat House, the nation's largest Catholic retreat house located in Chester County. Malvern Retreat House hosts men and women retreats, couples retreats, spiritual direction, recovery retreats, and more. Retreat from the noise and hear God's voice at malvernretreat.com. You'll be hearing my voice for another 55 minutes because the Dawn Show comes up at 10 o'clock. We'll find out what's on tap for her program, who on Twitter today, Cut Sheet Part Due, and our morning mystery movie clip, all still on the way. 855-839-1210 if you want to jump in on the conversation. So we have some charges to get to. And then also an interesting story written about the self-checkout concept at stores, which I have a a love-hate relationship with, so we will discuss this specifically at the local Giant that I go to. But before that, let's get to the charges. And we got to get to our buddy Jamal Bowman, Squad Dem, who has finally been criminally charged for pulling the fire alarm inside the Capitol. Bowman was charged in Washington, D.C. Superior Court yesterday with a misdemeanor count of falsely pulling the alarm following that investigation by Capitol Police. The alarm also prompted an investigation by the House Administrative Committee. The New York rep faces a maximum of 6 months in jail if convicted on the charge. But before we all take a victory lap, let's all kind of point out what will actually be playing out here and what has already been agreed to, as he has essentially already taken a plea bargain. And the Assistant Attorney General, Peter Saba, has agreed to withdraw the charge against Bowman if he apologizes and pays a fine of $1,000, which he had claimed yesterday that's already been agreed to. But he is expected to turn himself in this morning, a lot like Donald Trump had to do, right? Arraignment coming up at 9:30. He's going to be mugshotted, fingerprinted, booked, the whole charade. And it'll at least go down on paper, on record, that this man committed a crime. And he's not going to have to do any time. And I'm sure $1,000 probably means very little to Mr. Bowman. But finally, a little, I'm not going to call it a pound of flesh, but, you get your moment of, aha, good. Because we know the way it would be if it was a Republican that did that. But again, I think it really just highlights how silly and how absurd his defense was. I remember this. A spokesperson for Bowman, who is a part of the House Progressive Caucus, told Forbes at the time that Bowman, quote, did not realize he had triggered a fire alarm, but rather that he was rushing to make an urgent vote on the continued resolution to fund the budget. Remember, the government was going to shut down, adding that the second-term representative, quote, regrets any confusion. This was a total nonsense BS story, BS excuse. And remember, we played it for you on the cut sheet. Remember, we had the video and the still photo of the fire alarm with the door on the wall, the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm telling you, Democrats are so arrogant that they'll just give you any...
No, go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something. They will just give you any ridiculous, like Karine Jean-Pierre. Oh, I didn't hear the question. Like, wait, no. We're talking about hate crimes against Israelis, and you immediately flip it to Islamophobia. They don't even care if you believe their story or not. You're just supposed to take what they say as gospel and never challenge them or question them again.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to confess to anything. He doesn't have to... And the issue is not the misdemeanor of pulling the fire alarm. The issue is what you brought up, Nick Kayal, and that's what Republicans had said. He clearly wanted to delay that vote. That's what he was doing. And isn't that part of the whole quote-unquote insurrection argument, that you are intercepting and halting Congress from a vote from doing its job?
Yep.
And from its official business. And so isn't that a federal crime?
Right.
If he were a Republican, to answer your question, oh, my goodness, this would be, they'd have Liz Cheney heading up the committee and trying to stop the government and insurrection and every other charge and facing 30 years behind bars.
Yeah, Peter S. on the YouTube chat brings up the point that we've been saying since this incident happened. You know it's a bogus excuse. They only show the video. Still, no actual video to see actions before and after pulling the alarm. That was our take on this show from the very beginning. Yeah. That if you see him pulling the fire alarm and you see an expression of, oh no, what did I just do?
Then maybe you believe
Then
him
maybe
somehow.
you can believe us. Yeah, thank you, Daniel. If you're watching right now on the YouTube video, you can see him turning himself in.
He's carrying a book bag
to the authorities.
Now,
yesterday.
is that a Kevlar book bag?
I don't know. Yeah, see there, he pulls the fire, but you only see that still image. You don't see any other, and there's obviously there's video.
Of course, there's the camera staring right down at him.
So why are we not seeing the other reactions to this? Because that would be, by the way, if his reaction was shock, that would have been plastered everywhere.
The video would pretty much give us his intent.
Exactly.
Yes.
And all we see is a still image. So we're not seeing the full picture here. So to Dawn's point, this clearly to me is him trying to stop a vote.
Well, and let's bring up this question. Remember, the tapes for January 6th. Remember when Tucker Carlson, under the Freedom of Information Act, was able to obtain those tapes?
Yep.
And everybody was asking, like, wow, so could I get those? And Tucker Carlson was like, oh, I don't see why not. We just asked for them. So why are there, and I'm going to call out Republicans here, why are we not having Republicans in Congress get the Freedom of Information, or whatever they call it, to get the video footage of what he did?
Yep. It's a great, I stand by that. His reaction after he pulls it tells the entire story. And there's, in my opinion, if that video exists, which we know it does, and exonerated him, it would be everywhere.
Right.
So clearly it exists and it doesn't. So they're kind of just showing the still picture over and over again.
Right.
And it's just one of these things that just gets dumped and people just forget about it.
Of course.
And I'm guilty of it too. When the news came down yesterday that he surrendered, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that story.
Right. Yeah, because we just move on to the next thing we're outraged about or distracted by.
Yep.
855-839-1210, the number. Let me grab John. He's got some thoughts on this, and he's in Wildwood. John, good morning. How are you?
Boy, I'm doing fantastic. Two things.
Yep.
Also in the videos, they don't show the pre-video of him ripping down the signs talking about the fire. That is a fire alarm. That's one.
Okay.
And this morning, him himself said that after 3 months, it gets expunged.
Yes.
It gets taken off. So
Yes.
there's no written document of it ever happening after 3 months.
Yeah, well, it's going to be like your typical first-time offender, where if you follow the rules, I think he can't commit another crime in the next 3 months, and if he doesn't and he pays his fine, it goes away.
Right. So the Capitol Police that did their investigation, this is what they came up with. This is, it was a mistake. Really? So do you start believing what the Capitol Police ever get involved with anymore either?
No.
This is so dirty.
Yep.
Also, I don't know if supposedly the Democrats are going crazy over this new Speaker of the House and how he's an insurrectionist and he thought that there was voter fraud going on and all this. But they don't talk about Hakeem Williams, the guy, the Democratic leader, going nuts and talking about when Trump became president.
Oh yeah.
You know how that was the Russians and all that stuff.
Yep.
He wasn't an insurrectionist or an election denier.
Well, the election denier stuff, and we played you the audio montage. We have a 10-minute version and a 20-minute version of Democrats denying elections for 15 years. We've got the tape with Hillary on there, with Stacey Abrams. You go on down the list of people. So, two can play that game, and we've played you that before, but we won't have the time to play it all this morning. Let me grab another call here on the fire alarm concept. Tom in Woodbury is next. Tom, you go right ahead.
Yeah, how you doing? The video should show that he either pulled the alarm before he grabbed the door or after. He's claiming the door was locked, and that's when he pushed the button.
I know. And why does he think that pulling a fire alarm is going to open a door?
Nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks that.
Nobody does.
No.
Exactly.
But to your point,
the video, if there is one, it may show him not even grabbing the door to try to open it, just pulling the fire alarm.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dawn.
I was doing like silent miming hand motions as you were talking, because you're right. If you can see the sign, it actually says fire, and then it says you have to push in and pull down. So it's not that I accidentally. It's two motions on that device that's not on the door, to the side of the door.
Yep.
So that further shows. I mean, I know this is absurd because clearly we know he wanted to delay the vote, but I'm just saying, not for nothing, I have to go through the motion of this.
Yeah.
He had to push this in, then pull it down, and then go through the door. Come on already.
You're saying push down and pull out? What did you say?
You have to push it in. You want to pound it, you can.
Oh, boy.
And then do like a dry rub.
Oh, we have another soundbite for
Sorry,
you.
I had to set you up for that one. It was just too easy.
He got me. He got me again.
Yeah. And we got Bowman. But of course, at the end of the day, this will come off his record and it'll act as if it was never an occurrence. But there you go. Let's get to the other charge. This is great. So, you're gathered around the dining room table one night, and you and your husband or you and your wife, and we got 10 grand. What do you want to do? Where are you going to take a trip to? What do you think about Atlantis? I think Atlantis would be a nice trip, Betsy. It's cold. It's February. Atlantis is beautiful. What about Vegas, Phil? We'll gamble a little bit. Not bad. Okay. Well, we've always wanted to go to Disney. Yeah, that's okay. A little woke, but all right, Disney. Oh, wait a minute, honey. How about scratch all those ideas off? For $10,000, we can have an evening with Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Can you believe the man who says, I am science? And if you don't listen to me and believe me, then you are a science denier. Well, it is true. Coming up on Wednesday, November 22nd, 2023. I feel like I'm getting ready to read out the prize for the morning mystery clip. The St. Joseph's Healthcare Foundation in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, is proud to have the opportunity to spend an ungodly amount of money to simply be in the presence of the great and powerful wizard of misinformation himself. Yes, an evening with Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, for those that are wondering, if you really want to spend the night with Mr. Science, individual tickets start at just $300.
Wow.
But prices rise quickly and dramatically from the entry-level point of $300. And if you want to meet the man who helped usher in pointless, ineffective lockdowns, you'll have to pay up to $10,000. $10,000 to meet Tony Fauci.
Wow.
Let me just say this.
Yeah.
We realized how narcissistic he was, how so self-righteous and self-absorbed he was. And, it felt like for 2.5 years, and it didn't feel like it was 2.5 years, he was plastered on our televisions. He became the face of the COVID-19 pandemic and was billed and advertised as your one solution out of it. Get vaxxed to stop the spread, flatten the curve. And, if you're going to congregate, as he loves to say, you're going to congregate in large family gatherings around the holidays. Maybe you should wear a mask and all this. And this guy is actually going to be available at the rate of, he's like, what does he think he is? Like an OnlyFans model? Like, who the hell would spend $10,000 in Canada, no less?
Well, you bring up a very interesting point about that, where I agree it's absurd. I don't know who's spending $10,000 for this, but the holidays are coming up: Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that stuff. Are we going to have another, message from Dr. Is he going to be plastered all over the TV again, saying, Thanksgiving,
right around the corner.
everybody congregates, and make sure you wear a mask, and then schools after Thanksgiving, are they going to be, you know what I mean? Are they going to be required?
5-day precautionary period post Thanksgiving. Wear your mask.
I'm just saying, it's this is all coming up, so I'm wondering, 4 years removed from this, if we're still going to do this dog and pony show.
He's going to be doing a speaking engagement and talking about children's health, education, and society at large.
Wow.
I just wonder if he's raising money for the Anthony Fauci Defense Fund, because remember, Senator Rand Paul had referred him to the Justice Department for the investigation on all those. What was that Well, initially it was a year ago, but then he renewed it about this past summer.
Yep.
It feels like
he still
years
has
ago.
He still has him in his crosshairs. He hasn't let Fauci out yet. Yeah. Senator Rand Paul. Love that guy when he goes after Fauci. And as I've said, I think Fauci has perjured himself 4 or 5 different times. And, it was just so outrageous that you had guys like Dr. Robert Redford and very well-esteemed people that arrived at
Redfield, not Robert.
Redfield.
What I say, Robert Redford?
We knew
Robert
what you
Redford. Somebody different.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Anyway.
That's almost as bad as Joe Biden yesterday when he botched the phrase "one step for man and one giant step for mankind," or whatever the phrase goes, and he got it wrong again. But yeah, you had Redfield, and
kind of like you just did.
Yeah, kind of like I just did. But I'm not the president of the United States. Redfield was, of the belief that this was, a lab creation, and then you had, other virologists and epidemiologists that looked at this stuff, and if you didn't fall in line with Fauci's conclusion, you were deemed to be some incompetent radical. And I'm like, wait a minute, this guy is just as accomplished as Tony Fauci. I mean, that's like, going to see somebody for a broken leg, getting a second opinion, and the second doctor has a different thought, and one of them is discredited because he's got a different conclusion. I mean, I thought that was the point of science, to kind of challenge things and hypothesize and theorize about, what caused what and how do we eradicate something. But, Fauci became the poster boy legitimately. He told us. And that's the arrogance of the guy. I am science. Like, you are science? You're a paid bureaucrat. I mean, look, you're accomplished, no doubt about it.
Retired now.
Yeah.
But that was another point that I think it was Senator Rand Paul made, that he somehow has worked out a deal where he still is technically a consultant.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, according to, some, is that it makes then the government would have to pay for his defense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because he knows it's coming.
Well, he's still lurking, a lot like Obama is still lurking around the Biden administration. These guys never really go away. Trust me, they get their message in there when they need to. All right, 9:21. We'll get to the self-checkout story as we wrap up at the bottom of the hour, but it is time for the Morning Mystery Movie Clip.
And now, the Morning Mystery Movie Clip on Kayal and Company. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
I'd like to ask a few questions about this breakfast cereal.
Yeah, box of tricks.
That's right. I've been led to understand that tricks are exclusively for children. Is that correct?
Rabbit.
Well, I mean, they say tricks are for kids in the commercials.
And is that enforced by law?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So if I purchase these tricks, there'll be no trouble?
No, you should be fine.
You do understand that I myself am not a child?
I was able to sniff that out, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to bring these back to my apartment.
Yeah, you'll be okay.
Think you know what it is? Be call at 12 at 855-839-1210, and you could win this great prize.
Today's prize, as well as tomorrow, a $50 gift card to the Metro Diner. If you are caller 12, 855-839-1210, caller 12, 855-839-1210, $50 gift card to the Metro Diner. See if we get our winner on the other side. And self-checkout, is it worth it? The pros and cons for retailers and shoppers. Kayal and Company, back after this on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Friday night means high school football around the Delaware Valley, and every week WPHT breaks it all down. It's the Friday Night High School Football Scoreboard Show. Join Jeff Nolan, Daryl Dobus, and James Bailey. Friday nights 10 till midnight for a rundown of all the big high school games in the region and expert analysis. The Scoreboard Show. Friday night at 10. Only on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the Odyssey app.
This is Larry Steinhaus of Investor Schooling. I am so proud to announce the continuing success of our students at Investor Schooling. You already know that at Investor Schooling, we teach real estate investing and stock options. Did you also know that we teach things about tax savings, estate planning, and business coaching as well? We teach things about money I bet you never knew. At Investor Schooling, we teach from the perspective of true experience. If you want to see what our students think about Investor Schooling, please check out the over 160 5-star Google reviews. To find out more about how you can change your financial life, go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829, and you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday at 7 p.m. Attend that class and see for yourself what Investor Schooling is all about. Go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829. We can't wait to see you this Thursday.
Medicare open enrollment begins October 15th. Are you ready to explore your options? In Pennsylvania, you can get free, personalized assistance from PA Medi. PA Medi at your local area agency on aging is your trusted, unbiased source for Medicare information. They'll help you compare benefits and plans in your area and could even help save you money. Call PA Medi at 1-800-783-7067 today.
Supported by a grant from the Administration for Community Living, paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. When it comes to all your home improvement needs, trust is everything. And that's why for years, I've been talking about the amazing work my friends Stephanie and Matt and the entire team at Emmons has done for me and my home. My roof, doors, windows, siding, and yes, remodeling projects. Emmons can bring that same quality of work to all of your kitchen and bathroom remodeling needs. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, and now baths and kitchens. Emmons is the Delaware Valley's one-stop shop for all of your home improvement needs. Call 556-3229 and get a free estimate, or go online to emmonsroofing.com, or even better, come visit the Emmons Design Showroom in Cherry Hill. emmonsroofing.com. It's about trust, it's about quality, it's about great work, and that's why me and my family have used them for basically every project we've done to improve our home. emmonsroofing.com.
You got to do this. What a great time of year to end October on a high note right now. You still have time to find yourself that newer certified pre-owned vehicle from my friends at the Piazza Auto Group. Yeah, did you know Piazza, they carry more than 1,200 pre-owned vehicles at any given time. So actually my stepson Jonathan is the latest. When he calls me, he's like, hey, you've got a guy, right? I'm like, well, not just a guy, the Piazza family, really, the power of the Piazza Auto Group. And that's why it's so important, because it's not just about the brands that I talk about all the time, like my Honda minivan, which I definitely am working to unload, trade in for something new, or Nick talks about his Honda Ridgeline, or my son Michael's great experience with locally Honda Philadelphia, Honda Piazza Philadelphia, with his new Honda Civic, or, you know, Acura, Mazda, Hyundai, Volkswagen. I'm talking about pretty much anything else that you see out on the road and you say, gosh, I would love to test drive that. I'd love to own that vehicle. That's the power of the Piazza Auto Group. They've got that kind of selection. Just first of all, start here. Visit piazzaautogroup.com, Piazza autogroup.com, then search their pre-owned inventory, or for the dealer nearest you. Make sure you tell them Dawn sent you.
Follow Talk Radio 1210 on Instagram and Facebook at 1210 WPHT.
On a long and lonesome highway east of Omaha, you can listen to the engine moaning out his one-note song.
It is Kayal and Company, 9:27 on a Thursday morning. Beautiful day today. Going to be beautiful for the next couple of days. But right now, unfortunately, I think we stumped the audience. I think Anthony Dorenzo found a tough one for the crowd, for the listeners.
The voice, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not eligible for the $50 gift card.
You're not, no.
So we will run back the movie clip for you right now, and if you can be the first one in with the correct answer at 855-839-1210, you will get the $50 gift card to the Metro Diner if you can identify this clip right here.
A few questions about this breakfast cereal.
Yeah, box of tricks.
That's right. I've been led to understand that tricks are exclusively for children. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, they say tricks are for kids in the commercials.
And is that enforced by law?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So if I purchase these tricks, there'll be no trouble?
No, you should be fine.
You do understand that I myself am not a child?
I was able to sniff that out, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to bring these back to my apartment.
Yeah, you'll be okay.
There we go.
Okay. First caller, 855-839-1210 is the number. You get the $50 gift card to the Metro Diner. So, interesting story in USA Today is self-checkout worth it? The pros and cons for retailers and shoppers alike. They talk about one lady. Her name is Julie. She is a 50-year-old real estate agent that says they glitch too often, and she worries that the technology is making checkout more difficult for the elderly and the visually impaired. And while she's used to dealing with unmanned kiosks during trips to larger chains like Walmart and Albertsons, she's disappointed to see them popping up at the local grocery store in her hometown of Newcastle, Wyoming, town of just over 3,000 people. She told the USA Today, quote, "They just aggravate me. If I'm going to be checking myself out, I want a discount because that means you're not paying an employee to check me out." Although opinions on self-checkouts are mixed, many retailers are leaning into the technology. Some Kroger supermarkets, which you have down in the South, are operating entirely via self-checkout. Kohl's, earlier this year, announced plans to add self-checkout kiosks to 250 stores. I'll just say this. I don't think self-checkout is remotely convenient, nor do I think it's faster than getting in line and waiting for a human being.
Agreed.
I swear to God, every time I go to Giant, if I get like 4, even if I only need 3 or 4 items, much less the normal shopping list, I swear I scan and then maybe I put it in the bag too quickly, or there's not enough weight laying down on it, and then it has like the alert sign, please remove item from bag, or click to have customer service come over. And they always have one person standing near like the exit of the self-checkout just so you don't commit theft and steal anything. And then they got to come over and swipe their badge and do the whole charade. I don't know about you guys, but I can't stand it anymore. And my local Giant in Bluebell, I would argue there's a little section that has 6 of the self-checkouts. And then they've converted what used to be like aisles 10, aisle 10, 9, 8, and 7 of the checkout. They've converted those into self-checkout. So they only have about 6 or 7 actual spots where a human could be running the register. And even and I get it, like Tuesday, Wednesday, it's not a big grocery shopping day at 11 in the morning. But I go in there and there's only one person actually using the normal old school way with a person working there. And even on a Saturday, occasionally I'll do my grocery shopping on a weekend like an idiot because that's when everybody goes. And there's only 2 people running these. I don't know about you guys. I don't find them convenient at all. And here's the other thing, too. I will never use self-checkout when it's the full grocery list. When I've got 35 items in my thing, it would take me all day.
I agree with you.
I don't understand. There's no convenience to them.
If I'm just running in for 3 or 4 things, then self-checkout is the way to go. But if I have more than that, then I'm always going to human.
Yes.
Because they are usually quicker.
2 things.
Yeah.
First of all, I have it down. I can have a cart full of stuff. The key is you don't even take it out of the cart. You get the little hand thing, the little laser thing, and you just point to everything in your cart.
Yeah.
And that way you're not it is so efficient. And then I have my big IKEA, those big blue IKEA bags in the back of my minivan.
Right.
So I never take the stuff out of the cart. I just with the right, and boom, I'm done in the self-checkout, go out to the car, and then I load it into the back of the car.
Okay.
So you never have to bag it.
All
It's
right.
so convenient. But the other thing is, have you been to one of the new Amazon places?
No.
You go in, and some people do the palm read. I don't do that thing, but you use your credit card or your phone, whatever.
Okay.
You go in, they do it by weight. So you put everything in your cart, and then you just leave.
Really?
You never check out. It's weird.
Don't they scan your head or something like that?
No, they
scan your head.
You can some of them you can put a credit card in, or you can scan your phone, or some people have it because they've already at the Citizens Bank Park where I guess they've done, I don't know if they do facial recognition or your palm.
Right.
But you choose the technology, but once you get in through that gate with your payment method, then you load up your cart. There are cameras everywhere. Everything in your cart, you just walk out with it. You never say bye-bye, never see a human.
QJ brings up a really good point that I always struggle with on the YouTube chat. He says, only place I try to use self-checkout is Walmart because I buy Gatorade and other bulk heavy items. The tables they have for after checkout items is never big enough. I agree with that.
Okay.
They have those, it's basically like those little counters that come out that are this big.
Yeah.
And they can never hold everything you want them to hold.
So is he just basically grabbing the scan gun and shooting it himself in his thing so he doesn't have to pick it back up?
Well, I don't know where you guys are going, but I don't have that option of scan gun. I wish I had it.
Are you sure?
Sam's Club does that.
I go to Wise there in Huntington Valley, and that's
really?
there's no.
See, I don't think this has ever been about convenience, though. This is, I think, a cost-cutting measure for the grocery store.
Oh, yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
It's easier to do that than pay somebody whatever they're paying them.
The problem is, too, is that it used to be 2 or 3 and then 6 or 7 cashiers.
Yes, right.
Now it's 10 and 2 cashiers.
Right.
So it does make, and everybody goes to the cashier, so those lines are always longer. My son and I ran into Target yesterday just for something. And the self-checkout line, there's one cashier there.
I know.
Now, granted, it was 5 o'clock at night, or in the evening.
Yeah.
But there's one cashier there, and the line for the self-checkout was around the building.
They are basically telling you we do not want to pay people so you're going to have to get used to it. You see how they started? There was like 4 or 5 of them, and now they've converted the normal checkouts into self-checkout. You're going to get to a point where they're not going to have, I don't even know that they'll have, especially at Giant, we're going to get to a point maybe where they don't have people like, putting out the produce anymore.
Yeah.
They're going to have robots do it.
Mm-hmm.
They already have Marty walking around scanning things already with the little digitized.
Like a stalker.
Yeah, he's creepy.
Yeah, he's very creepy. I don't like Marty.
Yeah, Marty.
Very creepy.
I've never met a Marty that I wasn't suspicious about.
Big Stinky Cheese 67 writes, I've never stole so much stuff in my life. It doesn't matter if it scans or not. It's still going in the bag. Well, that's the other thing. How do you prevent...
Well,
like I know there's cameras there, but like how do you prevent theft?
Well, it's like you have that one person standing over there, and they're just there. That's got to be the worst shift imaginable at that store. You're standing at Giant, you're right in the self-checkout aisle or in the little box where they have 6 different monitors, and you just sit there and wait for somebody's scanner not to work, and then you walk over. Yeah, sir, you gotta pull your guacamole back out. That didn't register. Here, let me swipe my badge across. Imagine if our little girl on TikTok had to do that from 9 to 5.
Oh my God, she would. Can you imagine the TikTok videos?
She'd blow her head off.
Yeah, look. If I'm in there for 3 or 4 items, I'm cool with a self checkout. But going in there with a cart full of stuff,
I don't mind
really
the self checkout at like Wawa. Like I'll go in there if I'm grabbing 2 Gatorades for golf and like a thing of beef jerky or something.
Yeah,
it's convenient because every time I go in the Wawa, because they're so good and so busy, the line's like 8 deep anyway to get to the cashier person.
Yeah. Ken John writes, Home Depot has scan guns. I agree. I've never had a bad experience. Now, again, I'm not going into Home Depot getting a cart worth of stuff, but they do have those scan guns, and their self checkout is way easier than grocery stores, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. You got to go where there's the little scan gun. You're going to love it.
Mm-hmm.
And Acme, if you go on game day on Sunday,
oh yeah,
you wear your whatever Eagles gear, and you get 5% off the total.
The Eagles. Yeah.
So every game day, that's what I'm doing.
There you go.
At Acme, really?
Acme.
Wow.
5%
off on game day.
Look at you, Nick.
There's no Acme around me. No, I'm just loyal to Giant. I've been a Giant guy my whole life. My mom was a Giant person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do the high-end grocery stores. Whole Foods.
Acme's has local stuff. You know what I said?
I would do Acme if it was near me. There's just not one around.
Probably. I did it back in the day. Tammy Reed, when Coach Reed was here, and we did a piece on. I guess I was at Fox, and I went grocery shopping with her, and Acme was a sponsor.
Did you? You went grocery shopping with Andy Reid's wife?
With Tammy, yeah.
Really?
She's a riot.
What was that?
Great.
What did that cost to check out? Andy's not eating lettuce.
She talked about he fries the Thanksgiving turkey.
Oh,
it was great. But ever since that,
look at the size of them.
But ever since that got me hooked. Then I was like, oh, I'm an Acme girl.
All right. We finally have our winner for the morning mystery movie clip. Let's go to Ron.
I forgot we did this.
Yes, Ron in Ridley Park. We gave out the audio last Tuesday, and he's got the answer. Go ahead, Ron. What movie was that?
That's Ted 2.
There we go.
That is correct, sir. And you have a $50 gift card to the Metro Diner. So thank you so much for playing and bailing us out.
Hey, no problem. No problem.
You got it. There's Ron in Ridley Park, and he'll go get some good food at the Metro Diner. All right, 9:38. Let's get to What's on the Cut Sheet Part 2.
What's on the Cut Sheet?
Part 2. What's on the Cut Sheet Part 2 is sponsored by United Tire. We love our Philly sports teams just as much as they love us cheering them on. Same goes for the great team over at United Tire. The owners make customer satisfaction their priority, working with you to get you back on the road faster. So when it comes to car service, trust United Tire. Thank you, United Tire, for sponsoring What's on the Cut Sheet Part 2. This is great. So we were talking about all this anti-Israel protesting and pro-Palestinian protesting that's going on in schools. This is a protest that's happening with a woman who she's demanding that everyone boycott Nike.
Okay.
Which, for doing business in Israel. The funny thing about this is, well, I mean, that's abhorrent.
Yeah.
But what's funny about this is she's boycotting it wearing Nike Air Force Ones. So you have to go over to youtube.com/@1210WPHD if you want to see this video where she's boycotting Nike while wearing Nike Air Force.
Uh-huh.
We calling you to boycott.
Oh, she got a megaphone.
McDonald's, Disney, Nestle, Coca-Cola, Pizza Hut,
Just boycott everything.
Survey and Airbnb, Subway, Walmart, and Dasani, and the list goes on. This demonstration should make our demands clear.
Yeah, you're clearly a hypocrite as you wear your $125 Air Force Ones.
It's unbelievable.
Oh.
Boycott this, except
know.
I'm not, because they're a slick shoe.
Yeah.
By the way, I have Nike Air Force Ones, and they are a damn good shoe.
You have them?
I do.
You do. When I worked at Foot Locker for 3 years in college, we never, my store in the Palmer Park Mall, we never were on the list to get Air Force Ones. We would always have people coming in, hey, you have any fresh white Air Force Ones, the low-cut ones? Like, nah, man, we don't have them. We don't get them here. Got to go up to the Lehigh Valley Mall if you want them. People would be so mad. They would be in their feelings.
It's about the height of hypocrisy, though. It's so funny.
I know. Like,
she's so triggered.
You know, I prefer Adidas, but Nike's a little too far, into politics. But they're all like, okay, I'm going to boycott Nike. Well, I'm going to wear Adidas, or I'm going to wear Under Armour. Look at the tag. Look where they're made. Find what they're about. They're all guilty of the same thing. You're not going to, I don't know. There's very few brands out there that you can pivot away from. I know there's a few out there that are kind of cashing in now on, the demand from conservatives. But, if you try to live your life boycotting every single product, it's a tough task.
It is.
You just can't escape it.
It really is.
You got to pick and choose selectively.
You mentioned this cut earlier. We finally have it.
Oh, for my big take?
4 hours later. Speaker, do we call him Speaker-elect, or is he Speaker?
I just call him Mr. Johnson.
Big Johnson?
Big Johnson, Notch Johnson.
No, I think that he's now officially the Speaker.
Speaker, okay.
Right?
Mr. Speaker, he calls for ending the humanitarian and national security crisis at the border. To Road Warrior's point earlier, right? You guys were talking about this, about sealing off the border. He didn't like that wasn't part of the package for supporting Israel. Cut 17 here.
Here we go.
We have a catastrophe at our southern border. The Senate and the White House can no longer ignore the problem. From Texas to New York, wave after wave of illegal migrants are stressing our communities to their breaking points. We know that our streets are being flooded with fentanyl, and all of our communities, children, and even adults are dying from it. The status quo is unacceptable. Inaction is unacceptable, and we must come together and address the broken border. We have to do it.
There you go.
So Alejandro Mayorkas, in 3 years, refused to use the word crisis. In 3 minutes, Mr. Johnson used the word catastrophe, and he is exactly spot on. I actually just read a story yesterday that it's so bad in New York City now, they're thinking about, and Eric Adams is going to put tents up in Central Park.
Oh, that's going to go over really well.
Oh, I know. And if you've ever walked through Central Park, I mean, wait till you see the reaction of those people when this shows up on their lawn.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Because this connects to something we talked about earlier that you said, talking about the big donors, whether it's a university, whether it's a PAC, whether it's, the most powerful people and who donates. Well, a lot of those donors and the wealthiest people in the country live right there.
Yep.
And they want to walk their little frou-frou doggy right there.
Yep. Wait until Keith Olbermann looks out of his high-rise and sees tents in Central Park. Oh, man.
This issue, the beauty of this issue is I think it's going to turn New York, unless they can deal with it, it's going to turn New York to vote for Republicans.
This is one issue that the Democrats can no longer run from. Because you have mayors in big cities and governors of prestigious states, maybe, that typically vote blue or could be a battleground state. That when the governors and mayors are like begging and pleading with the administration to please do something about it, you can no longer turn a blind eye to it.
It's true. It's a very good point. Yesterday there was a Senate hearing on Biden's State Department and DHS about how many illegal immigrants have entered the country.
Yep.
Senator Kennedy was asking this of the Biden administration, and would you guys be shocked to know that they have absolutely no idea how many illegal immigrants are coming into this country? 11 here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Morant.
I love this guy.
Since President Biden's been president, how many non-American citizens have come into our country illegally or on the basis of a claim of asylum?
Thank you, Senator. HSI, as an investigative agency, is...
do you know the number?
No, Senator.
You're a senior member of Homeland Security, are you not?
That's correct.
Does anybody know the number? None of you know the number. Try 8 million.
Yep, 8 million is right.
Now, of that 8 million, how many were children, Mr. Morant?
I don't have that number. Senator.
You don't know. Does anybody know? None of you know. Isn't that special?
Isn't that special?
Let's assume half. Okay. 8 million is 4 Nebraskas.
I'll take 4 Nebraskas.
4 new states. Let's assume, I don't think it's as high, half of them are children. How many of those 8 million people are still here? Do any of you know?
I don't know, sir.
Okay. How many of those 8 million are claiming asylum? You don't know? How many of them claim asylum and don't show up for their hearing?
It's like me in a quiz that I never
Nobody
studied
knows?
for.
Yep.
How many of them claim asylum, don't show up for the hearing, and President Biden has deported them?
He's got nothing.
You don't know?
Oh, my Lord.
Well, since
How many of them have claimed asylum, shown up for their asylum hearing, and been denied asylum?
Come prepared, folks.
And been deported? You don't know.
You don't
There
know.
we go. The
All
end.
right, well, since Mr. Morant is of no use to us, I actually have the numbers here.
Oh.
It was 8,062,646. Now, to put that into the right context and perspective here, I have the population of every state in front of me. California, and this is 2023 population. California has 38,915,693 people living in their state. That's number one. At number 2, 8 million less is Texas at 30,500,000, followed by Florida, New York. Pennsylvania is 5th at 12.9 million. But there are 8,062,646 illegal migrants in this country since Joe Biden took office. If you added them all up together, they would be the 13th most populated state in the country. If we gave them an entire state, they would have more people than Washington, Arizona, Tennessee, Massachusetts, Indiana, Missouri, on down the list. Think
Wow.
about that.
Wow, Nick, that really took you a long time to find that.
Yes. Mr. Morant knew he was going before Mr. Kennedy for probably 2 weeks, and he didn't read the book.
Look, I am very guilty of going into classes not prepared for things, and the teacher asking me questions and me staring dumbly at them like I have no idea. Let's not even prepare.
Yes.
Let's not even pretend like I know. But if it was my job
To know.
to know, you
Right.
know what I mean? Like if
Right.
David Yadgroff, the market manager here at Odyssey, told me, hey, how have our ratings been since October of last year?
Yeah.
How have they gone up? What day parts are doing the best? What's our revenue like? You damn well bet I'll have the answers for him.
That's correct. Mr. Morant there was like one of those students sitting in a class that's
Yep.
just praying that the teacher doesn't call on him.
Ken John writes, this guy is hoping the fire alarm goes off.
Yeah, where's Jamal Bowman at when I need him?
Yeah, exactly. But, to your point, though,
yeah.
you said 8+ million came in.
Yep.
So just looking at the migration policy or the CBP or any numbers.
Yep.
So in 2019, they estimated that the unauthorized population or the illegal folks, the presence,
Yep.
was more than 11 million. So you're looking at upwards of nearly 20 million then when you add up the numbers.
That's correct. That is correct.
Kamala Harris spoke yesterday. She wants to lecture Israel, saying that we stand for the importance of understanding that we must prioritize humanitarian values.
Right.
Yeah, always, it's so interesting to me that once Israel is on the attack and the offense, now it's humanitarian issues.
Yes.
When they were being slaughtered by Hamas,
right.
Nobody was speaking about
That's correct.
humanitarian issues.
That's correct.
Kamala Harris, cut 8, go.
That we stand for the importance of understanding that we must prioritize humanitarian values,
Passage of time.
that the rules of war require that there be no intentional attack of civilians, that humanitarian aid be administered, that we do all that we can to ensure that there will not be an escalation, in particular, by Iran's proxies in that region of the world, and that we hold on to the responsibility that I think we uniquely have to represent the values that are about stability in the interest of peace, and we have not abandoned, and we still are profoundly committed to a two-state solution.
I'm sorry. You could put her in charge of the border. You can put her in charge of artificial intelligence, environmental justice, any of these categories that she's ever been linked to. And they all should put fear into you. You should be afraid of her being in charge of really watching after your pet bird. But there's nothing that scares me more knowing that if Joe Biden, and Joe's no bargain to begin with, but if Joe Biden doesn't wake up tomorrow, she's in charge and we're on the verge of a war. Like, that should terrify every American.
Well, let me ask you guys both this question. With Joe Biden in charge, would you rather have Joe Biden or Kamala Harris in charge of what's happening right now in the Middle East? If
I have to choose
I'm
one,
throwing
I'm
out,
taking Joe by default.
I'm throwing it out there.
It's like the lesser of two incompetence. I mean, Joe can't put a sentence together because he's 81 and he's losing it mentally. Kamala is still very healthy. And every time she speaks, I'm trying to figure out what the hell she's saying.
Real fast here, we have time to get these in. Joe Biden held a press conference yesterday, and in typical Joe Biden fashion, he got a bunch of facts wrong and said a bunch of things he shouldn't have said. We start with cut 4 here, Daniel.
I want to thank the Israelis and the Palestinian, and President Sisi of Egypt.
The Israelis, Palestinians, not the Palestinians, sorry.
Right, but we got to hear about when Trump botched up Turkey and Hungary.
Okay. He also would like us to know that Hamas does not represent the vast majority of the Palestinian people. These guys, everybody steps all over themselves and we did the same thing. We did the same thing after 9/11 too. We all have to step over ourselves. Like, well, it's not the majority of these people.
Right.
Let's not jump to conclusions.
Why are we always coddling the bad guy?
It does seem like we do that, doesn't it? Cut 5.
We also have to remember that Hamas does not represent, let me say it again, Hamas does not represent the vast majority of the Palestinian people on the Gaza Strip or anywhere else.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for clarifying that, Joe.
I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday. I think it broke last night, but it appears that the Israelis are delaying the ground invasion until Gaza, until the safe release of the hostages is what they're claiming. Joe Biden said he had nothing to do with that. Cut 6.
With Prime Minister Netanyahu, who obviously you've known for decades, and you had a very emotional trip there last week to Israel. Have you sought assurances from him that he will hold off on a ground invasion into Gaza until the safe release of the hostages can be assured? And of course, those include 10 unaccounted for Americans.
No. What I have indicated to him is that if that's possible to get these folks out safely, that's what he should do. It's their decision. But I did not demand it. I pointed out to him, if it's real, it should be done. Thank you.
If it's real, then it should be done. I thank you. I'm going to go take a nap now.
One more, then we'll get to what's coming up on the Dawn Show. He starts rambling about a proposal he had to build a railroad all the way through the Middle East.
He loves building railroads. He's like a little toy train conductor.
Cut 7.
We want to, for example, at the G20, we were able to act on a proposal I had to build a railroad all the way from Riyadh all the way through the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Israel, up through Greece, and then across the, not the railroad, but pipeline across the Mediterranean up into Europe.
Right, and then it'll loop back to New York City, right? And Joe wants to just build railroads everywhere. He wants to build train tracks across the Indian, across the Pacific. The guy can't even finish the wall, and he's trying to build.
That's unbelievable.
He's such a clown. And then he doesn't even know what I'm telling you, and then he confuses me, and I don't even know what he's getting at.
Yeah.
No, but what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
All right, that'll do it for Cut Sheet Part 2. The Dawn Show 5 minutes out, and we find out what she has lined up at 10 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, we have a lot developing right now. Obviously watching for that urgent manhunt and lockdowns, and a lot of people in fear in Maine with a so-called madman on the run, dozens injured, and many killed in that one. So we'll update you on that as well. A live debate between one of the two people debating right now will be the next mayor of Philadelphia. What does that mean for Philadelphia? And a sign, I'll say, gone with the wind, a huge landmark in South Jersey. Quite controversial, but doesn't mean Democrats are going down in New Jersey. I'll break that down as well with yesterday's implosion. 10:05, retired Sergeant Mark Fuzzetti will join us. Yes, and we'll talk about not just crime, but thinking about officers' morale.
Yeah.
We just had, this week we had the funeral of one officer, and within less than 24 hours, the first-degree murder charges reinstated of another officer.
Also ask him about Rob Thompson. He really wants him fired.
Yeah.
He can't stop tweeting about it.
Sergeant Mark Fu coming up in 9 minutes. I love that.
Yeah.
We got crime in baseball.
And our own Pastor Bill Devlin has just returned from Israel, can give us the perspective of many people of faith, and he's a Christian man, pastor. He's been there many times, as well as a Purple Heart awardee and military veteran, what he saw, what he experienced. He'll give us his insights coming up in the 11 a.m. hour.
All right, the Dawn Show in just a couple of minutes as we wrap it up with Who Won Twitter today.
Who won Twitter?
Lucy39 wins Twitter, says the 9 to 5 girl should get the Odyssey app and listen to Kayal and Company in the morning on her way into work, and Rich Dioli on the way home from work. I do that every day on my hour-and-a-half drive, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, makes your work day fly by.
It's true.
That's what we're here for.
We should have just said that. Get the Odyssey app. Listen to 1210 WPHT all day long.
I'm just paid to get you from point A to point B. That's all I'm paid to do. All right, that'll do it for us. The Dawn Show is next, and right now, Dawn Stenslin with a word for Parks Casino.
Yeah, because October means so much fun, action, entertainment, excitement at Pennsylvania's